Damn, I wonder what you get for $350.
Oh man.
And we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Bad invention.
Low key mortgage for you. Car note rather.
Yeah, car note. Yeah, they're going straight for the jugular. Ain't no mercy out here.
Oh man, listen, your STEMI coming. Let us get a month of your STEMI. That's all we need. They're gonna have some noodles. They're gonna have some noodles, drop bread on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like for what?
Then be back with a new hustle here next week. Well, we're live.
What's up, world?
Peace to the world. We back for another episode of the Think Muzic Podcast. This is episode number 6. We're working on staying consistent. And
yes.
Tonight's topic is breaking family curses.
Yes.
Awesome. What's up to all my patrons? Worldwide, building as a people. Yeah, man.
Yes. I'm just sorry. 2/3 ain't gonna make it.
Some of that alkaline vegan water.
Did you get that from Sprouts?
From Costco, Kirkland.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Costco, Kirkland. That's a good brother. Gotta love that brother, man.
Oh man, yeah. Doing his thug thizzle.
Oh man, isn't he? How was your week?
Oh man, I made it through it. I can't complain.
Yes.
About yours?
Mine was good, man. I had a couple days where I got to the daycare a little late, and but I got in there and kicked it. So it wasn't I wasn't lethargic while I was in there. It was like I went in and rested, and I was able to go in there and knock it out. And it's like once I get through Monday, the rest of the week it seemed like it's downhill because I'm working as the day changes over, so it always feels like I'm cleaning. Like, okay, yeah, I get there like Monday evening, but by the time I'm done, it's Tuesday. So it always feels like I'm ahead. It's like weird. Like I know I'm not ahead, but it feels like I am. I guess it's one of those mental games I play with myself to make it seem like the week's going fast. Like, oh, it's Tuesday. And then when I go clean the to be in the Wednesday, and so it kind of it seems like it moves fast. And then Thursday, me and my son, we went to the park and we played, and I started working on my digital musical art project that I'm working on. I have a working title, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the title, so I'm not going to even say what the title is. But I got all the vocal samples and chopped all of those up, and then I just chopped them up, but I still got to go back and rework them to make them fit into 4 bars or whatever like that. But I got them all, and I got the first beat done for the intro track, and it's going to be a long played out track. So I'm gonna make it like an art piece. It won't be broken up in single tracks. It's gonna be like an opus.
Mm-hmm.
Where to just run. So started working on that Thursday afternoon, me and my son went to the park and let him run around and got us a little bit of got us a little snack before we went to the daycare and knocked that out and then today, man, I stepped out early. I had to go get a cord from my machine because when I'm trying to like um so when you chopping samples or whatever, you can really mess with the parameters. And my machine started, just flickering and doing all of this type stuff. And so I had to go buy a cord, went to Guitar Center and bought a cord, a UBS cord for my machine and got that. So now everything's steady. And I've been needing this cord for probably like 2 years and just been lunching on getting it. So I went and bought that today. Talked to my pops today. I haven't talked to him since January around his birthday. So I had called him last night. We chopped it up for a minute. And then he was at work. So he had to, he called me back today. And when he called me, I was on the phone with my mom. So me, him, and my mom, we all got to chop it up on the phone for a while. So that was good. Yeah, and then now I'm here, Came home, went to a place called Canva. I don't know if you heard of it, Cava, Kava,
Hmm.
and they're kind of like Chopped. If you heard of Chopped, where you can go get like a salad bowl and rice and veggies. You can kind of it's almost like a I guess in the mind of what's the other main place everybody go to that had the salmonella problem a couple years ago? Um,
Chipotle.
yes, yes, yes. And me, my mom, and a friend, a family friend, we all went and ate there, and that was pretty good. And because the way I eat now, man, I'm still full off that. And I did come
Hmm.
home and have a couple tortilla chips and all of that. Just nothing crazy, just a little bit. But I'm still full off that meal. So you know what I mean? Like I'm not really eating crazy, which I enjoy. And then when I came home and it was like, yeah, I only slept for like 4 hours a day. So I napped out. My phone was on 3%. And that's why like I woke up and, and turned my joint on to see if you had texted me because I had fell back out. Like I seen your text, I hit you back, and then my phone died. I dozed back off, my phone died. So when my wife and my son came in, they came in a little after 11:30. I got back up and then I was like, oh, my phone's dead. And I had to turn that on and make sure I didn't miss your text and all of that. So but yeah, man, that's how today went. Now I'm up and at 'em, and after the podcast, I'll probably get me another little quick nap, and then I'm gonna wake up and go knock out my account for Saturday, and then me and Nia's gonna get into something tomorrow. I don't know yet. Everything's back open now here, so he likes this place called Marbury Museum, but my mom was telling me they're not fully opening with everything else today, so you have to make an appointment to go there. So uh we'll figure something else out. There's so many parks and all of that stuff around my area. Like we'll find something to get into.
Right.
And that was a
What's
little
up?
long. I apologize.
What's up, Naga Trickery? No wicked shall enter. No wicked shall enter says, peace, brethren. It's not a family curse. It's a whole nation curse.
mm.
Right.
We're gonna get into it and see if we
Yeah.
can you know we're all about trying to, well, I'm not gonna I'll speak for myself on this one. um Trying to get to the basis of something and move forward from it, find your root and then come forward. So maybe we'll have some ideas and see how that play. uh so
What's up, Brianna?
what's going on, Mrs. Dunlap? Thank you for checking in. Ninja Trickery, what's up? And No Wicked Shall Enter, what's up?
Well, thank everybody for joining us. Um, so I wanna I hope I don't want to bore everybody, but um we do. I mean, the name of this podcast is Think Music. Like our group is Think Music. The podcast has the same moniker. And it's for several reasons. One is, I mean, it's obvious, that the using the mind is at a forefront, you know, for what we pushing. So um, we try not to just do a lot of pontificating, you
Right.
know, a lot of a bunch of Stephen A. Smithing, you
Mm,
know.
right.
Hopefully, if you tune in, you can get a little bit of food,
Yes,
um,
indeed.
take with you. So I I'm asking everybody to bear with me. I'm gonna do a little bit of reading
Yes.
to
Let's.
lay the foundation
Yes. Yes.
for our discussion for this evening. And I want to start with two books. Um, Brianna says, let's start with let's use our highfalutin technology here. We're gonna we're gonna highlight that. Okay. I think that's a good idea. We're gonna real quick. Curse is a real simple one. If you're from if you're I'm gonna say late 30s on and older, just roughing it, um, then more than likely you were taught how to write in cursive in school.
Yes.
Um, and when you for us we started, I guess we started like fourth grade for us. And
Yeah.
so when you write in cursive, basically what the rule was, once you put your pen down on the page, you don't pick it up till you finish writing a word.
Mm-hmm.
So that means everything has to run together. So a curse really, the word curse really doesn't mean anything diabolical. In essence, it means to run through. That's what curse is. It means to run through. So we know that let's establish that the word is not necessarily something negative. Okay. So thank you for Brianna for bringing that up. Now, these two books I'm gonna read from. One is called Kundalini for a New Age. I found out about this book through Bobby Hemmett. Okay.
Okay.
This book here is called, now this is a hard to get book, Occult Anatomy and the Bible. Now, the author is Kareem Helene. Anything you can find by Kareem Helene, you want to get it.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of her stuff is hard to get a hold of. If you can find it, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna tax you on it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So first, I'm gonna start with this Kundalini book, and I want to read a passage. And and if y'all have anybody know how I get down, I try to build a case like it's a like we in court or something. You
Oh,
gotta
you on your Perry Mason?
yeah, you gotta do your pair. You gotta this is this they call it the discovery. This is the discovery right here.
Okay,
Okay,
come on, bro. Let's do it.
so
Yes, yo, I'll be watching that joint, yo.
where
I'm
were
gonna
you at
see.
9:30 on the morning of? Okay, this section is called the scientific investigation.
Mm,
Study of the phenomenon of Kundalini provides the only channel for the exploration of prana, the channel through which the Illuminati attain to transcendence and the geniuses to extraordinary bloom of the mind, is the natural inlet through which the human intellect can come into contact with the divine forces of creation. Okay, now um, um, I'm gonna read kind of fast because it's a lot. So technology. Everybody can always go back and rewind this. The superphysical forces that cause psychical displays or lend potency to magic, if made amenable to human will, could place a weapon in the hands of the overambitious, the
Mm.
voluptuary, and the megalomaniac, before which even the threat posed by the nuclear arsenals would pale into insignificance. Wars can be made to erupt telepathically, and multitudes made abject slaves and puppets of a few. But nature has provided safeguards that make it impossible for any scientific investigation to know the nature or to control the mysterious forces involved in these occurrences at the present evolutionary stage of the race. The reason for this is simple. We know that amazing devices protect life on Earth. The whole drama of organic evolution from the beginning to this moment is a miracle of divine protection continued for billions of years against staggering odds. One chance against billions, repeated interminably. Yet that one infinitely slender chance succeeded, and humanity owes her existence to that. We also know that there are defenses that act as umbrellas round the earth. The heaviside layer, for instance, that shields terrestrial life from the lethal effects of cosmic radiation. There are defenses that keep the forces of nature, flood and tide, storm and rain, heat and cold, from attaining a fury of a rigor fatal to life. There are defenses that allow us to live unconcerned and undisturbed while the earth whirls through space at terrific speed, with flaming oceans of fire storming and raging in her interior. There are defenses in our body that protect us from the deadly attacks of malignant bacteria time after time.
Mm.
There are psychological devices, as there are devices in ants and bees that rule the social conduct of human beings and form the instinctive background of every human social order. There are devices that bring the human fold back again to the path of evolution after every departure or digression through the offices of religious teachers, revolutionaries, and reformers. There are devices that will come into operation at the time of a seemingly annihilative nuclear war to save the race from extinction, for it is meant to fulfill a glorious destiny. In short, we are miraculously preserved and protected from every side and at every moment. But how often do we admit within ourselves that all our life is spent at the mercy of forces about which we have no awareness at all? Often we even fail to realize that there is design in every fragment and every event of the universe. But the scale of its operation is so unimaginably vast in space and time that our poor sense equipment and puny intellect fail to grasp it. Another channel of perception is therefore needed to bring the intangible controlling forces of creation within our ken. A decrease of half a degree during the past 30 years in the global temperature of the Earth has made scientists concerned about its still unpredictable effect on the climatic conditions at different places, and the drop continues to occur. This shows that a delicate balance in the environment is necessary for life to survive on Earth, and that still unknown and unthought of devices are operating to maintain balance. Okay, I'm gonna skip down. The twin products of an active kundalini, namely the illuminated men and women and those of genius and balance, have been the two main classes of human beings responsible for every advance made by mankind so far. They're saying the twin products of an active kundalini. Just for a reference point, kundalini, think fire. namely the illuminated men and women and those of genius and talent, have been the two main classes of human beings responsible for every advance made by mankind so far. It has been known for long that heredity primarily accounts for the quota of intelligence and talent in human beings. Now we're starting to bring it home to our topic. This one word, heredity, primarily accounts for the quota of intelligence and talent in human beings. This view has now been confirmed by exhaustive tests conducted on twins and other children at several places. In a recent article in the National Observer, John Rogers writes, and this is the 70s when this came out. You may give a child excellent parental attention, a good home, fine schools, and cultural experience. But if the youngster wasn't born smart, he will probably never be smart. It is an abhorrent idea to some, but that is what several American and European scientists said in Rome at the First International Congress of Twin Studies. There is an answer now, the scientists said, to the long-standing, often emotional question of whether it is genetics or environmental factors that principally determine one's learning ability. They say it is nature. Okay, end quote. In support of this conclusion, Rogers refers to the studies conducted by Dr. Joseph M. Horn of the University of Texas and other scientists. Quote, our studies and others clearly show, end quote, says Horn, that, quote, that individual differences in intelligence among individuals in Western culture are primarily determined by genetics. We know what is involved in making statements like that, but we have no choice. The data are there. When one finds a trait such as intelligence substantially determined by genetic factors, this does not mean we cannot design an environment to overcome. Let me back up. I want everybody to dig in on this. When one finds a trait such as intelligence substantially determined by genetic factors, this does not mean we cannot design an environment to overcome it. But the evidence to date is that we have yet to find that environment. And what is more, we may be looking in the wrong places. Okay, I want to stop there. Before I go to this next one, I want to give some context. This is a series of conferences they were having, and these are articles pieced together to make this book. So what they're saying is, at the root, that they're saying intelligence, that genetics seem to override environment. Okay? But they do say they recognize that an environment can be set up to overcome the natural supremacy of genetics. Okay. Now we know that we're in 2021. We know that by now there's a book that has come out named The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. There's also a book that came out around the time of this one called The Secret Life of the Unborn Baby. And it talks about what goes on during gestation that helps to contribute to how the child is going to develop in life. And they mention this in here, but I don't want to keep laboring on this. But where I want to go though is that this book, the title, The Occult Anatomy and the Bible. So there was already some knowledge though of something deeper. Okay? And I want to just stay with me. This is going to be real quick. I'm just going to hit some little points, then we're going to get into our discussion. This woman, her mentor, Corinne Helene, her mentor is Max Heindel. Okay, so she was a part of the Rosicrucian Society. Okay, Max Heindel is a very noteworthy Rosicrucian. He's almost on the level of Rudolf Steiner as far as respectability. Okay.
All right.
This section in this book is about blood. Okay. It says the ego controls the dense body by means of the blood, which is its particular vehicle. That's a quote from Max Heindel. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Keep that word ego. Okay. Because we're going to come back on that.
Okay.
Listen to this. Everybody listen in. Generation is always associated with the shedding of blood. Now, the word generation is the same as genetics. It's the same as creation, Genesis. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Generation is always associated with the shedding of blood. Regeneration with the transmutation of blood. Now, if we didn't read nothing else, that is heavy in itself. Generation is associated with the shedding of blood. So the shedding of blood, first thing comes to my mind is a wound. There has to be a wound for there to shed blood. A woman sheds blood every month because she walks around with an open wound. And wound is the same as womb. They're the same. The wound is the womb. And because the woman sheds blood every month, she can generate life. But regeneration comes through the transmutation of blood. And this is our foundation for our discussion. Transmuting blood. That's why we say family. Breaking family curses, or we should say breaking negative family curses, as in things running through the blood that need to be resolved or transmuted. Okay. Now, blood is essentially a fire element. And as we have seen, it comes under the influence of Mars and the sun. Mars representing the lower desire nature and the sun, the spirit. The more spiritual person becomes, the more etherealized is the blood. Material or negative thinking, heavy foods, alcohol, and indulgence of the sense life lower the vibratory rate of the body and liquefy the blood. Medical science is just entering upon important discoveries in connection with blood crystals. The higher the individualization of a person, if you'll notice, we're always talking about individualism.
Right.
Okay. In the Aquarian age, Aquarius rules the 11th house in the zodiac, which comes after the 10th house. The 10th house is what is your career? How will your talents be expressed in the world? Okay. For the exchange of currency. The 11th house says, how do your individual gifts support the collective?
Mm.
The 11th house is preparing you for the karmic house, which is the 12th house. Your personal karma is based on how did you use your gifts in the house before that one. But the 11th house is the transmutation of the first house. Remember we said the first house, or I didn't say, I said we was going to come back to the ego. The first house in your chart is the ego, the identity. The 11th house is where the identity, which is we say is the L, has become even. That's why it's 11. Because now the L is even 11. It has expressed in how it's going to support the collective. I'm gonna stop right there. It's a whole bunch of shit, but I got to say this one part though. I got to touch on this. Just bear with me.
Let's do
Blood
it.
may be divided into three parts: serum, which comes under the astrological signature of Cancer, red matter; Scorpio; and fibrin, Pisces. This makes clear the meaning of Bohm's statement that there should be no blood if the tincture of fire and light were not in water, for it is the fiery hierarchs of Mars and the Sun operating in the field of the water hierarchs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, which create the mysterious substance we know as blood. Okay, Dap and I, and many of you probably who watch this podcast, because I look at the analytics, and a lot of Generation X people just are on the channel anyway. Generation X people, most of us are born with Chiron in Aries. Chiron is referred to as the wounded healer. There's that word again, wound. Okay? So there's a wound in our identity. And they call us Generation X, which is the unknown variable. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
As a generation, we fall under a banner of a job to establish identity. That's across the board. That's what No Wicked Shall Enter says. It's a whole nation curse. Well, there goes your aspect of a whole nation curse. It's a as from the standpoint of a generational. That generation has that curse of having to establish identity. Okay, I want to say this: whether you Generation X or not, I think it's wise for all of us when we're talking about breaking family curses is to look at where at Pisces influence, Scorpio influence, Cancer influence in your birth chart. Because those are water signs, and those are called the trinity of the mind. And although the water is associated with emotion, it's also very mental. You cannot have thoughts unless you are a psychopath. It is hard to have a thought that is disconnected from emotion.
True.
Okay? So we see in the Bible, it says Moses was drawn out of water. That's Aries. If you look at the glyph of Aries, Aries comes up out of something and springs out like that, almost like the tail of a whale, except it hooks down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a spring out of something. It's drawn out. Therefore, it now has an identity. But the identity comes out of water.
Like
So
come out of water.
what's that?
I said like we come out of water.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm sorry for the long, and I cut it short. It's a lot of good, but I want to lay down that as the introduction into the discussion, breaking family curses. And I'm gonna yield the floor, but I got a lot, a, a, a lot of things running through my head right now. But
Well, I think also I was listening to Professor James Small the other night, and it's funny because we talk offline all the time, and he was saying about where he come from, and he was like, his parents' parents. So he had, his mom has a mom and dad, and his dad has a mom and dad. So that's four sets of people he come from. They have children. They make a child. That child comes together, produce him. And he was talking about, and that just makes me think about your blood, and then everything that come to you. And you're saying, um, we don't know what unless you talk to your parents, you don't know what you're pulling from them. And a lot of times when you talking to your parents, I'm not gonna say my mom and dad are gonna be super forthcoming with things they did as a child, in their childhood coming up until adulthood. Like I don't really have a true expectancy that they're gonna tell me everything. Now there probably is some parents out there that would, um, and you're probably more apt to tell your more positive stuff, right? But I always thought about that. I'll say I've been thinking about this bloodline thing, generational curses. It's been on my mind for a long time. I'll just say that because I had to look at self and then say, okay, is this all innately me? Is it something from my mom, from my dad, from down the line? And you said something about us being Generation X, and I know me and you talked about this before, where we were saying that we may be the generation that is here to figure it out. You know what I mean? And maybe that's why it's been on my mind for so long, because it's in me to try to figure it out. Not to say I'm gonna have the answer, but at least to start putting something forth, because it may trickle down to my sons to do the next step. You know what I mean? So, um, and you said something too in that passage. I mean, because you made a feast, um, reading that was a feast, and you said something about and we touched on this also, um, about people understanding charts and tapping into you know these quote unquote celebrities entertainer charts and controlling them through their chart without them even knowing, because a lot of people, we know astrology is, look, if you're in religion, astrology isn't really um looked at to be something you gravitate to, even though it's in the Bible. But so you got these people that know these charts, and if you an aspiring musician, rapper, actress, actor, whatever, and you got these people in these positions that read charts, they'll look at you and say, "Oh, we can maybe make something out of this guy because he's an Aries and he's born on such and such day." So they tap in, and then they can tap into your emotions through your chart without you even knowing. And then you just thinking, "Oh, I'm good at what I do, and I'm getting this opportunity, and it's great." But no, they have a plan for you without you even knowing. And it brings me back to this book right here, The Anglo American Establishment by Carol.
Mm,
And on the
mhm.
back of it, it says, now Carol Quigley, he was a professor at Georgetown University, which they say that is a Jesuit college. Have to do a little more research on that to make that a definite statement. But it was said that he was privy to some information that was there, and he wrote a huge tome called Tragedy and Hope. And when I bought this book, it came with two
Put
other
it up
books.
one more time.
When I bought this book, The Anglo American Establishment, and it came as a 3-pack. So I got this, I got Tragedy and Hope, which is supposed to be how they built America, and it came with a third book. I can't remember the name. Um, but I bought it as a 3-pack, and I started reading this. This book here is talking about Cecil Rhodes and how Cecil Rhodes wanted to start a secret society. And on the back of it, it says, no country that values its safety should allow what the Milner Group accomplished. Now, Milner was somebody that took over after Cecil Rhodes passed. It says, okay, so no country that values its safety should allow what the Milner Group accomplished. That is, a small number of men will be able to wield such power in administration and politics should be given utmost complete control over the publication of documents relating to their actions, should be able to exercise such influence over the avenues of information that create public opinion, and should be able to monopolize so completely the writing, the teaching of history of their own period. So now we're talking about the generational curses of the blood. Now we're talking about generational curses of society, which there's a handful of people, as we know, we call them the elite, whatever, Illuminati, whatever you want to do. They have these meetings in like Davos, Switzerland, where there's where supposedly they're plotting or bringing forth what they're going to attempt to do in the world. Because at this Davos meeting in Switzerland that they do every year, it's supposed to be heads of states from all the countries. So now when you get the super elite in one place, they're going to dictate what comes next, right? And so what happens is at the very top, we have connectivity. And with that, these people bring forth, they bring forth plans and ideas, what they're going to bring into society, unbeknownst to us. And I wish I could remember, and I might have to scroll through my history because I have to find this video I watched where this gentleman was talking about there's only 199 people that are part of the control, and not the full control, but these 199 people sit on all the boards of major corporations. It might be two here, two there, three here, three there, but they help business. They what they do is, and they're part of the Trilateral Commission. They're part of the Bilderberg Group, and they're part of the Council on Foreign Relations. And what they do is they sit on these boards and help shape it and help direct these boards into situations where they should go through the company. So the tentacles are everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Then when you come back to us, now what you get? So now you get, let's just take African Americans for instance. Okay. You're brought to a place, right? You're treated in such conditions. Okay. Now, in those conditions, as Jamal said earlier, you get emotions from things that permeates through your blood. So now you got a person that was enslaved, maybe beaten, starved, whatever. Now this person is in their mind thinking whatever, and probably thinking the worst, maybe. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being general. That person produces a child, right? Now the child comes along. He has his father mindset in his bloodline. He has whatever his mother mindset is in his bloodline. That, and that's your foundation. And then to come forth to where we get here, you don't know what's permeating through your blood, and then we're not, and then for all of those people that may have been dictators and heads of states that had, different mindsets on how they treat their people, and they have children, you know what I'm saying? And, and then you might get some children that say, oh, wow, they may do some history on maybe a parent or a family situation they was in. And then they may say, "Oh man, that was wild. We shouldn't have did that." And it's like this. I read an article that this family that has relations to Hitler. They live in like Long Island or something, and they were saying like they never bring up their family history, talk about anything because they didn't want to be attached to Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Now, they don't have, they're not um, trying to produce what Hitler was trying to do or anything like that, but they just don't even want to be attached to it. But it's in their bloodline. They're part of him. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting that um, our generation right now is the generation that's maybe here to figure this thing out.
You know, touching on what you're seeing and going back to the passage in the book where it referenced the blood with the three water signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. with those signs being related to what they call the trinity of the mind or the psychic trinity, when you talk about trauma,
Mm-hmm.
the trauma of being a prisoner of war. Some people were a prisoner of war on their own land.
Yes.
Um, um, what we're talking about is memories.
Yes. Yes.
So the blood holds memory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with that in mind, oh, let me grab some. Since we're in Aries season, I want to dedicate this to my aunt who passed uh, a few months ago. And her birthday is coming up on April 7th. This is my aunt Leela. This is, my cousin that you always say you enjoy. We had our chat. This
Oh,
is
that's
his
your
mother.
mom? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So she was born in 1933,
Mm,
1935. So she was 80. I want to say she was like 85 when she passed.
okay.
And her birthday would have been April 7th. And thank you, Brianna. Um, what's significant is she's an Aries. We're in Aries season. Um, but she was named after my great great grandmother, Leela Grant. Okay. Let me
Okay.
tell you about Leela Grant and it's not just to tell family business, but I'm saying this as in reverence to her. My great great grandmother was raped at the age of 14. And my grandmother Mary was conceived from a rape. Now, my great great grandmother Leela had sisters. And back then, everybody was. It's funny how our language changed in the South. They would call your aunt Aunt back then. So my daddy would say Aunt Mag,
Right.
and Aunt Seal. Um, um, they would come around and they always looked down on Leela because she had been raped.
Mm-hmm.
She carried the stigmatism of something that was done to her. Okay. And in the 30s and 40s, I mean, and when she was also lived through the 20s, she lived through the early 1900s. There was, first of all, there is no time to sit and say I need to do some kundalini yoga to try to process my emotions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My parents were the first ones to have so-called professional jobs. On both sides of my family, everybody was domestics. Okay. So there was no time to sit and process emotions
Right.
because it was survival. And it makes me think of the sign of Cancer because Cancer is the crab. Okay. And the crab has very soft meat, which we all know, that good crab meat. But to protect itself, the crab grows this very hard shell and it has these claws to protect itself. Okay. And that could be likened to some of our ancestors. They had to grow very tough skin. They didn't
Right.
have time to sit and heal their wounds.
Yes.
My aunt Leela was named after her. My aunt Leela had a nervous breakdown as a teenager.
Wow.
and she was diagnosed as schizophrenic. And I don't say this to belittle her memory. I'm saying this to be transparent. Mental illness is in my family.
Mm-hmm.
What it Now I'm gonna tell you something else. When I was in my late, I was like my early 20s before I came to Texas. My uncle had come to visit one time from Atlanta, and we sitting on my grandmama's porch, and he tells me, he say, my uncle was a hustler back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he says, man, you out here, man, running these streets. He said, look at all these talents. He said, you can play a piano. He said, you can sing, you can write. He said, you ain't dumb, but look what you're doing with yourself. And he told me, I've never told my siblings. Only person I've told is my mama, because this is not something you can share with your siblings because it could create some type of angst.
Right.
But he said, you're the chosen one.
Mm.
I never forget that conversation. He said, you're the chosen one. I never told
How
nobody.
old were you when you heard that?
I was maybe like 20, 21.
Okay, so you was at a point where you could process that, but still looking at yourself like, Am I the one?" Like, am
Yeah, I could hear it, but I
right?
damn sure wasn't processing it because I was wilding.
Okay, okay.
But as I look back and as we had this conversation, it was not to feed my ego.
Mm-hmm.
It was to feed my sixth house, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
As in, what's my job? What do I have to do?
Because you could tap into the arts and do so. Because if you can write, play piano, sing.
Well, that's my fifth house.
Mm-hmm.
What are my creative gifts? My sixth house is it ain't those gifts are not about me.
Right, right, exactly. Right.
My sixth house is you have responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And now through this conversation, I'm like, if you have the ability to see, it is not to feed your ego. It is because you heavy as the crown. You understand what I'm saying? You got
Yes.
a job to do.
Yep.
You are working to break curses that run deep on both sides of your family. You're
Yeah.
the light bearer.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Conversation we had the other day. Um, Brianna said, was she able to heal it throughout her? She was able to survive,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if I can say healing. They didn't have the tools to heal.
Mm-mm.
They didn't, and they might not even have had the wherewithal to know they needed to heal because they were in such survival mode. They didn't have time to process it.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like you said, and I see it talking to my dad's 71, and it's now at this point that I'm trying to talk to him, and he's being more forthcoming than he's ever been in his life with giving me tidbits of information. Like he didn't sit down and say, Tyrone, son, this is my life. But I kind of fit things in because I'm trying to just get a little understanding of my bloodline, and what's permeating through there, and you know what what's in my blood that may be in me outside of who I'm just naturally am. You know what I mean? Like, what could let was there things in me that led me to make certain decisions in my life? You know what I'm saying? To say certain things to people, to do certain things, like um, because that's what I always internally fought with. You know, so my dad, he seen some things in his childhood. He told me when he was in school, and I'm talking elementary school, that he knew little girls, and I don't even know if this it maybe it could have been junior high, but he told me he knew girls in his school that were pregnant. And my dad was born in 50. So we're talking 57, 58. Um and I think my dad seen trauma in his youth that he was not, like you said, they weren't able to process it. They had like, like we can go to Borders and Barnes and Nobles and go get a psychological book and go talk to go talk to someone. Like you said, you could read something Bruce Lipton, you could do some yoga, you could meditate. Like they didn't have that. And if they did have it, it wasn't in they if it in that stuff, even if it was around then, it wasn't in their purview, because they lived a certain lifestyle. So it wasn't like, I'm gonna go in town and go talk to such and such. You didn't have that. And then we come from a culture of holding in, right? That's a part of our culture, they say, allegedly. Like we don't like to express ourselves. But I see that in my dad. So I know my dad does that for sure. But um, but within that, he's starting to talk to me a little bit, and I'm starting to get a little understanding. And then as I was able to become a little more forthcoming with being honest with my dad, because I have to be honest to try to get some honesty out of him. You know what I mean? And I told him about us, a couple situations, and he told me like he had this particular thing in him also. So then I was like, okay, that's a little bit. But now how do I curtail certain urges? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? And I think a lot of it is you have to there like when I went to the mission, I shared some things there. And it but you got to feel comfortable with sharing because we want answers. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why a lot of people go to psychologists and go talk to them because they feel like they can lay it all on the table and try to get some remedy and some coping tools and and maybe get a little bit of answers. My brother did the same thing. My brother went through a little situation, and he was just like, why do I do what I do? And he wanted answers. You know what I'm saying? And um, so he tapped into a little bit of that, but to try to get a little understanding of himself. But that's what it's just so funny because when we sit back and analyze ourselves, we want to understand ourselves. You know what I mean? I think we do, but it's like how do we get there? You know what I mean? And now we have a lot of tools now that we can work on ourselves and then bring that forth. So, like you said, the crown is heavy. Like now, I have the tools to work on myself. There's no excuse now. But now I just have the wherewithal. I have to have the wherewithal in me to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't want to look at self, right? They don't want to look in the mirror and say, they
Right.
just want to keep moving along. They don't got no mirrors in their house. I don't know how they get. I don't know how they look when they don't know how they look when they come outside. But but if you want to, you have to be honest and wanting to work on yourself. Now, if you do that, there's some things in place. And then what happens is when you do that and people see a change in you, they may see you as something when you was 13 that now you're 23. And they're like, bro, like, what, when you was 13, such and such, you was wilding. You 20, looking good, you working. Like, what did you do? And now this is your turn or this is your time to lay it out. You know what I'm saying? And, so I think being in this time, um, that's where that understanding can come from.
Yes, sir. I also think too. I, I think the reason I think I've fallen so head over heels for astrology is that I've been studying metaphysics for over 10 years. but I haven't necessarily been telling time. So can you imagine if you know how to cook well, but you fixing breakfast at 5 o'clock in the evening? Or you fixing dinner at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I'm an excellent chef, but why do I feel so heavy when I eat in the morning?
Right.
Well, it's because you cooked yourself a T-bone steak with a baked potato and a meal that you needed to be further on along in the day to have expended some energy to be able to digest that meal. You know,
Right. Yep.
the chart allows you to be able to tell time,
Mm-hmm.
and time is not just a linear. Well, it's actually not linear. It's time is an observance of cyclical actions,
Mm.
unfoldings of reality. And when you stare into it, and if you stare into it and contemplate it long enough, it'll start speaking back to you and showing you things to where you don't have to speculate as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you find where the moon is in your chart, if you find where Pluto is in your chart, and you find where Neptune is in your chart,
Mm-hmm.
they start pointing towards reservoirs of healing. So they're giving you the psychological framework,
Mm-hmm.
the field of expression through
Mm.
which it operates, which is the sign,
Mm-hmm.
and the greater domicile for all of that to occur in is the house. So Pluto is going to tell you, where do I keep feeling something in my life that wants to die and I keep trying to resurrect it? See, because, sometimes a wound, an unhealed wound is, I cut my leg and I keep scratching it every time it itch and it can't heal. I
Mm-hmm.
won't leave it alone. Where do I need to let a wound heal so I can move on? Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
The moon. The moon, with astrology, you have to pay attention to all of the clues. So all of the clues give you breadcrumbs. Okay, Cancer is associated with the chest, but more specifically the breast. The breast is where the mother feeds the child. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Cancer is going to deal with nourishment. How am I nourished at an emotional level? Is where you're going to look at. You're going to identify that with your moon. Okay,
Okay.
Pisces. How do I absorb the world around me and within me? And now we're looking at, how do I understand? Because what is Pisces associated with on the body? The feet. And this is where the etymology comes in. When you look at uh, um, peg, pedestal, it means to stand under. So the feet represent, and feet come back to like podiatrist, P-E-D, understanding. So Pisces, where do I get my understanding?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding nourishment, transformation. These are three keys for healing. If I can't understand, I can't heal. If I can't figure out how I'm fed, I can't heal. If I can't recognize what's trying to die and I keep trying to resuscitate it, I can't heal. And then this comes back to the individualism. These are individual tasks.
Yes.
This is why we, that whole thing about saying it's about individualism, we're not talking this rugged Western, pull yourselves up by your boot. We ain't talking about them conservative talking points. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The individualism that we are pushed towards and that we're speaking of, and that is quite Aquarian,
Mm-hmm.
is saying that I have to do the individual work.
Right. Mm.
And the more proficient I am at doing the individual work, then the better I can heal. And as I heal, my bloodline can heal. And I can alter my DNA moving forward, meaning
Yes.
I can seed intelligence into my bloodline through
Yes.
my work.
Yes.
And this is where the Bruce Lipton information comes in. This is where the environment can change the genetics.
Yes. And tapping into what you just said, I wrote a couple things down
Okay.
because I said I got to be on my note take. I was never good at taking notes in school. I had to watch like like when the internet popped. I had to really go pay attention. Like, yo, how you take like you write certain key points and then you try to tap in on that. So
Hey,
first
can
thing,
you hold on? Before you make your point, let me go get some of this alkaline water.
yes, sir, yes, sir,
Hold on.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
For the most part, the general public not that aware. Contributions in American art aid.
Hope everyone's doing well out there. Wait for the good brother to come back before I tap in. Uh, yeah. Um, good build tonight. Serious Biz, bright moon out there tonight, huh? I remember riding down the highway one day. Me and my brother was coming home from cleaning one night. Man, the moon was felt like you could fly to that joint. It was so huge. We was on the highway. It was just like right in the middle of the highway. Like we was driving towards it. It's crazy.
All right, my bad.
Bet. Um, so you on the it made me think about how the ancestors or excuse me, the people of the past use astrology for agriculture. That tunes into us using the stars for ourselves. because we're going into the individual thing. Um, I wrote healing wounds. Um, through the understanding of your chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can heal yourself. Then I wrote elite control, and this taps into what we were talking about the other night when we were saying that these people understand these things and they really don't want you to understand it. So through the religious practices, they told you it was bad, but it's really what they do, and they don't want you to tap in, because once you tap in, then you're no longer under their programming because you're doing something else as an individual. My last point was the world is chaos. Remember we talked about that. The world is chaotic, and then you hit me with the brainstorm. It was just like, and it just bugged. I'm like, yo, the world is supposed to do what the world's doing. We are the ones that's supposed to be in order. We have to get ourselves in order. That's the work right there. Because we're looking for utopia, because we know they push all these different programs out into society, and like we're grabbing for straws. Oh, utopia makes sense. Building a commune makes sense. Get my paperwork right makes sense. Like, but then you have that, but then you have cats is on the block hustling. Somebody's coming up with this business plan that's a scam. Here's a pyramid scheme. You know what I'm saying? So, but ultimately, it's like the world is chaos, and you have to get yourself in order within that chaos in the world. So now what? Okay, so they gave us religion, and and not to say some people don't get remedy from that, because I believe people do. But they gave you that, but then they hid some things from you from it, which was the astrology. Even though in the Bible they're using astrology, because the three wise men followed the stars to find Christ. So it's there, but it's not pushed. You know what I'm saying? They're pushing the deity. So then what happens in our society? We're looking for deities. We're looking for the great orator that speaks well. So we love Malcolm, we love Martin, we love Garvey, someone with a great idea. And I'm just talking in our, in the African American community, because I know there's other people that do it too. But, just being general within our sect, it's like, then we put these people on a pedestal, and they supposed to remove us from situations. I can't count on Malcolm to to tell my mom to stop beating me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something else. You know what I'm saying? So we get we get pushed to the grandiose idea of, as a culture, we need to be doing all of these things. But okay, yeah, that's fine. But what are we doing on the micro side of it to get people to that point? So now you're constantly being pushed collectivism, and they're not pushing to do no work. And and some people may say do a little work, but it's not their main spill in what they're talking about. It's not their main thing. So from what you said, that's what I got, man. It's like, that astrology, especially with us, bro, like it feel like it's the guide for us that makes us move in this world. It's like if you pay attention to that, you can get a lot of great understanding. You can see things in your children. You can see things in family. You can see things in a girlfriend, a boyfriend, and then use that as a guide. I'm not saying make it your religion. I'm just saying use it as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
You're tapped into it. My wife has tapped into it. I'm not tapped in like that, but I'm attached to someone who is. So, and I'm attached to you. Not to say I can't. Not to say that that disavows me from doing work, because it doesn't. But when I got questions, you deal with the Western, my wife deal with the Eastern. I'm sitting in a beautiful spot. Now I just got to get a chart, do the work, and start looking at it for myself. So now when I'm going through situations, or if I'm feeling some type of way, on March 27th, and I'm in a funny mood. Now I can look at my chart and see what's going on. And then
Mm-hmm.
once you look at your chart and see what's going on, it allows you to sit back, pull back, and say, okay, this is why. Right in that moment, I get to do the work and removing myself, because now I see the problem and I say, oh, okay, but I don't have to. I always say, like, I don't have to buy in. So now it's like, okay, I'm feeling this way. What can I do to alleviate that? You know what I'm saying? So it may be, man, let me go for a walk. Oh, let me call somebody. Let me read a book. Let me light a candle and meditate. You know what I'm saying? To get me out of that funk. And then before you know it, you're removed from it. But using your chart to gauge your life, I think is a beautiful thing. And I think the elite know that because they do it. Like I was telling you a couple of weeks ago, I was watching I watch a lot of financial channels when I'm cleaning and listening. But this one, when I put it on and I was looking at it before I went back to cleaning, I see the guy she's talking to has a Buddha on top of his bookshelf. He ain't had no, like, and I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. He ain't had no picture of Christ or whatever. He was a European man. He had a Buddha on top of his bookcase, and that was the only thing that was the books was on the shelves, but that was the only thing on top of it. And I was just like, so cats are tapped in, but it's the game is to be sold, not to be told mentality, and not each one teach one. As each one teach one, we all can build and be great in your own self, and then you bring that to the human family, and hopefully get some progress.
Yeah, it's very simple. If your intentions are in the right place,
Intention, yes, yes.
intention breeds integrity.
Mm.
And so, we're all familiar with that old quote from The Last Pause: the revolution will not be televised.
Right.
Okay, so now when most people hear that, they're thinking, yeah, when the revolution go down, it ain't gonna be on no TV. I want to give a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
by listening to the actual words that were used. The revolution. The root is revolve. That means to go in a circle.
Ooh.
The zodiac is the circle.
Mm-hmm.
The revolution means when you go around through all 12 signs,
Mm-hmm.
it is an internal process. It is not one to be transmuted. I mean, to be broadcast.
Right.
The revolution will not be televised. Going through the cycle is internal. It is private. It is individual.
Yes.
That's the revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have these influencers who pose as revolutionaries, who spend their days posing for pictures on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
looking revolutionary from the connotative standpoint. And connotative means what's the accepted meaning of something in the given time dispensation that you're living in.
Mm-hmm.
So in our current mindset, when we hear revolution, we thinking fight for the people, public enemy, fist up
Right.
in the air, because we don't think of things denotatively. Connotatively means what you and I agree what it means. Denotative means what does it really mean? The denotative meaning of revolution is a circle. But you have people who pose as revolutionaries based on what we think it means. And they're saying all the right stuff. They're fighting for the people, and they we're gonna give you these jewels. And you notice how everybody say they. Hey, y'all get this video before they take it down. I gotta
Mm-hmm.
tell y'all this. This is what they doing. Everybody's. I want to give you the secret for the people. Okay. And then the plug comes. The plug comes.
There's always a plug.
By the way, such and such and such for $8 billion. I'm going to show you how to be a millionaire, but I'm not one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you how to buy houses, but I've never owned one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the game. So the game is, and these are, if you want to see how these are the elites setting it up, because studying the nature of people, this is what sociology. Let me give y'all some game.
Go in.
Sociology, psychology, and marketing are kissing cousins.
Yes. Man, I wish I could have brought this book from when I was at the mission, bro. This book was so enlightening. It's happening the right where you going.
Mm-hmm. Sociology studies how people relate to each other. Venus. Psychology studies how people think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Marketing is how to capitalize on how people think and how they relate to each other. If you control the economic system and you control the educational system, you know the product that you have produced in the world.
Yes.
And you can set up a machine to attract people based out of their hunger.
Yes.
People are hungry for identity. People are hungry for money. People are hungry to feel important. Okay. And so you give them a place to where they can come and feed their ego with the undeveloped aspect of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you give them some trinkets, they will do anything to hold on to those trinkets or to try to acquire those trinkets.
Right.
And then they will become assassins of the rest of the people.
Yes.
And that is what our social media is. A bunch of assassins who want to feed on your attention and to convert your attention into some form of currency.
Mm-hmm.
And to wave the worm of I have something that you need.
Yes. And what they
and when
did.
you bite on the hook,
yes.
you done got your ass snatched out the water and you getting fried in the pan. You didn't even get, and the worm wasn't even a real worm. It was some 52 fake out bait.
It was that bait that they sell on them infomercials that drop it in the water, it wiggles like a little fish. And then the real fish come bite on that joint and got duped. Yo, it's so funny because Triple JC says grand scale manipulation. And also peace Triple JC and peace Freddie Cali. Oh man. So where was I going? So then they put people in place that speak well, right? And so you get, like I said, you get caught up because we can get caught up in the code of personality. I know I have personally. And you use that mouthpiece to create, they use it also for those that can create some talking points for you. So now if we know we got these many people in the world that believe in all these certain things, and then we push a great speaker, someone that might look good, all of that into these directions, to these areas, now I don't have to study anymore because this person speaks so well and seems like he have all this knowledge that I can just take his talking points and go and then go into an argument with somebody else and use XYZ's talking points. But I ain't did no studying yet. I ain't read no book. I ain't did nothing.
Real rap.
But because I'm so caught up in the code of personality of a person, and I feel like they wouldn't lie, because what happens is it's like how they use English people to do narration and all of that, because their voice is calming and it's not your everyday American voice, it's that English voice. oh, how's the spot of tea? And you just like it feels so good when you and they don't sound like they would lie to me, but they understand that's part of our psyche, like you said. So they push these people in these positions, and then we hear them, and it feels good to us because they tapping into that emotion of feeling good. And then I hear what you say, and I may take some notes, or I just may mentally remember it. And now I'm you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not me. As like I used to call Kobe Bryant, Michael Bryant. And he studied Michael so hard, which yeah, you study, but who was Kobe Bryant? You know what I'm saying? Like he did all Mike's moves. He took he took Mike's moves to the next level. You know what I'm saying? With his intention. So so I think that's another play they did, man. That was another play that they used. And these guys, you always hear they playing chess, not checkers, and all that stuff. But it's like, yo, like for real, once you get to the point where you have this understanding, now it's on you to remove yourself, dig into your personal journey of what you need to do to get yourself on track, because it's not really about having $1,000,000. It's not really about, my wife told me we need a nest egg. When I met my wife, I was straight fiat. I was straight. I ain't worried about. I might have had $200-300 in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just like I'm living my life because it's all a game. I was on my it's all a game, but. And then she pulled, and not to say I never thought about these games, but she kind of just put it to the forefront of my mind. Like, listen, something happened to your car. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I gotta call my mom or dad. Like, I'm a full grown man. Like, I got a job. I should be stacking something. So it's not really about me having 200,000 over here. It's really about me having enough just in case something happened. Enough if my sons call me and I might need to shoot them something. Enough to be able to do some things in my personal life. But ultimately, I'm here to cleanse my bloodline, to help guide my children in this chaotic world, and help give them some understanding that, you might not get it right now today, but if you live long enough, what I'm talking about is going to come forth. My dad used to always say this. See, I told you about, I told you this when you was a kid. I told you this was going on. And I tried to tell you early so you didn't have to tap into it. But I do understand we have to live life. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of my parents' rearing, I kept in the back of my mind, which is why I didn't go full bore to the chaoticness of the world. Like I understood enough at an early age to where it was like, okay, that road might be, because I know me personally, I never wanted to be in nobody's jail cell. Like I knew that from the rip. Like, yo, I'm not, not like I'm soft, but I ain't built for jail, bro. Like I've been in that joint once, and it wasn't nothing nice. You know what I'm saying? Like that joint is meant to break you, B. And like it was like, nah, like I'm good on that. So when I got that little taste of it, like of course you always know about it. Then when I got a taste, I said, oh no, I can't be out here doing nothing that's gonna I can't listen. I was only in that joint for 2 weeks. Listen, you talk about, oh, I gotta go do a stretch in that joint. Nah, I'm good money, B. Real rap. So I'm like, yo, get locked in. And I'm blessed to have that wherewithal to want to research, want to learn. I think my only hiccup was I never had a straight line. Like it was getting the little information, get a little move out, get a little. So I never had I sat here for a while and went start to finish. You know what I'm saying? I'll say if there's any type of flaw, that might be it. Because my dad told me to read everything. My dad was just like, yo, you don't want to be the one that don't know anything. So he was read everything, magazines, books, whatever, read. He was on this Hebrew Israelite, read. So
Galatians.
Yeah, you listen, and that's what I did. And my dad is my because my dad is still alive. My dad is he's the one that imparted that on me. And then I never got anything else from someone that deviated me from that. You know what I'm saying? So I just always kept that. But what it allowed me to do was tap in to different things. Because I think if he wouldn't have told me that, I probably would have just tapped in, naturally you tap into stuff, but I wouldn't have got into everything I'm into now. You know what I mean? So but yeah, that that grand manipulation is a real thing, and that's the tool that they're really using. And if you understand that, because the trinkets is nothing. If you understand that, bro, like you said something before, like, yo, we here to do work for what's next after we leave here. And I thought that really made sense. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I was like, yo, that kind of makes sense because like we don't, I don't know what's next, but I know whatever is next. If I'm doing something positive here, not being the nuisance in this chaotic world, then where I go next, hopefully I'm building towards that.
Right. Right. And that's the damn. I don't know why the fuck this keep coming up. Let me. Leave.
Yo, Freddie said, same thing with gangs. I felt like, why would I join the gang to have someone tell me what to do when my father was already too much? No doubt.
Right.
Build up the soul, brother. Yes, Triple JC.
Yeah, and that's the again, it comes back to that word individualism.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to structure a hustle around individualism.
Yes.
You know, it's easier to build a hustle around usism. You know, this is what we got to do. This what
Right.
It's really when that whole thing about doing the work. It don't come with no fanfare. You know,
Nope. And
um,
we say it all the time.
it just does not. So I want to throw something else out about along those lines of doing the work. We talked about, the whole aspect of healing, looking at your moon, where's your Pluto, where's your
Mm-hmm.
Neptune. Now look at what's in your second house, what's in your sixth house,
And not to cut you,
and
but can you use that to tell your future to an extent? Not like I know what's going on in 5 years from now, but just by your chart, what you may be getting ready to encounter through the chart.
I'm very careful about how I look at that. Now
Okay.
there are people who are more of the predictive astrologers.
Okay.
Okay, there's something called electional astrology. Now it is valid, but where it gets dangerous when people start fortune telling.
Right, exactly.
Now, but what I think the healthier way to approach it is, can we see energy patterns that could develop in the future? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Now, how those are going to unfold, we don't know.
Right, we have to be there. Got you.
But we can know that there's a challenging aspect coming up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um,
And not to cut you, but that would be because you were saying you could see that energy, and because you're not there at the point, you don't know where you're going to be at in your life when that time comes for with that energy, right?
You don't know what's going to happen in the world, period.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but uh you understand the energy signatures. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if Saturn is going to be uh squaring the natal position, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you that could be a challenging time. If Saturn is making its return, you can expect, okay, like when I had my Saturn return, Saturn, okay, it takes Saturn roughly 28 to 30 years to go through the zodiac. Okay. When I had my Saturn return, okay, think about what's the energy signature of Saturn. It's responsibility. It's we got to get the job done. Um, it's associated with the goat. The goat can climb up a mountain that looks impossible to climb. So Saturn is I'm here to I'm ready to dig in and get the job done. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm accepting my responsibility. So around 30, I find myself getting married. At 30, my first child was born. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm feeling like I got to be responsible.
Right.
So so we could say if I'm 15 years old, somebody could read my chart and say, "Well, Jamal, when you get to be around 30, you can expect that life will be pushing you to be more responsible about your endeavors."
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So, but it might not have said, well, you're going to get married, you're going to have your first child, and you know what I'm saying? So, th- I feel that's the healthy way of evaluating those energies. You can see it's the best way to describe it is a weather forecast.
Yes.
Well, we're expecting it's a 60% chance of rain. Okay, I'm expecting rain. Maybe I'll make sure I pack my umbrella next
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, and I'll try to leave out a little earlier to go to work because I don't want to have to be rushing,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the driving conditions are going to be a little more dangerous.
Right.
So I'm gonna try to get up a little earlier, and that's when now we have power. We are empowered, and that leads us back to why our society is structured the way it is. It is structured to where we don't have time, or if we have time, we don't have the inclination to want to look at things of this nature. We just want to live straight automatons. You know, when is the game coming on?
Right.
They gonna
Yeah.
trade LeBron,
Yeah. We straight organized. Yep.
you know, and these are things that matter, you know, because you can plan on, okay, we're gonna drop this new single. Well, um, we'll have a new moon in Aries, you know what I'm saying, on
Mm-hmm.
April 11th. We're gonna have Venus in Aries. We're going to have Mercury in Aries. Mercury is going to be having a harmonious conversation with Mars because Mars is going to be in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is going to be in Mars, at Mars crib in Aries. So they're like, hey, I left some cheesecake for you in the fridge, Mercury. Good looking, my man. I left you. I left you some left. We had some cheeseburgers from the other night. I left you a couple. Mars, appreciate it. Good looking. So that's a harmonious time to launch something.
And that's why they say these people do things in certain particular times.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow, that's heavy.
They just telling time.
Telling time and dropping and nudging you and dropping
Hmm.
nudge points to nudge you in areas in this time. Yeah.
Hmm. And so by incorporating the knowledge we acquire to bring it back home to the topic of the discussion, that if we pass this knowledge on, you know, we 40 something years old.
Yes.
My son is 5 and he can read his birth chart. He knows that he's got such and such here and such there. You
Yeah.
know,
When I be hearing that, I be blown away by that. Like,
he
yo.
recognizes all the signs. He know what Neptune. He can draw them. He can draw all the glyphs. You know, so how much further ahead is he than me? And ain't
Yeah.
that supposed to be the one of the greatest things my old man told me before he passed. He said, "Son, you better than me. You've outdone me." Now, and he talking about writing. You know what I'm saying? Now I always looked up to my old man was a writer.
Mm-hmm.
For your old man to tell you that you're better than him, first of all, that means his ego was intact.
Mm-hmm.
He really had to be really confident in himself to not be so worried about his ego to say, "No, son, you're better than me." And so, ain't that really what this supposed to be about?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, if we can pass down real shit
Yes.
to our seeds, that's revolutionary.
Yep.
Not stunting on the gram. There's nothing revolutionary about that shit,
Not at
you
all.
know? And it provides a way to change our DNA to heal wounds. What if a child can learn how to look inside of their own mental and soul blueprint? You know, I got a daughter that's a Gemini, man. You know how hard it is how frustrating it can be trying to explain something to a Gemini. I mean, and the sun sign is just a small, but she's got a lot of Gemini. She's Gemini sun, Gemini rising. So what you see is what you get with her. And she's got all this air. So she's just, she's very athletic, but she ain't with that sitting down listening shit. She
Mm-hmm.
want to be moving. She want to play games, you know. Mercury rules over games, you know. Um and so if I don't get a glimpse of who she is, you cannot have I can understand and I can love my child better for who
Mm-hmm.
she is. But I also can call her to the carpet on her bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And give
Jada,
her a guidepost to see what you're talking about.
that's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying it in a rough way on her, and I'm not, but that's what a guidepost is a better way. That's a more politically correct way of saying her bullshit, you know. But I'm like, Jada, now, I said, now, uh, Mercury can be a trickster. I said, now, which side of your Mercury do you want to work? You want to be the trickster, or do you want to be the perceptive Jada, who sees everything, who don't miss nothing? Or do you want to be the one who want to bend the truth? And right there, I have read her. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't hollered at her. I ain't lost my temper. I just read my child. And she can't, I got her boxed in. And
because
now she's got to listen.
she know that's her. So now
She
she's
knows
like
her.
she's stunned you called it, and now she's in her mind evaluating. Because why? How do I respond to that? Because it's real, and then you just got
Yes.
to sit back and tap in.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You got to sit back and tap in. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's time for. I know I think my wife may have did some charts for our children. Um, I know she has one for herself. Um, I need one, and I think that's and we talked about this probably on podcast 1 or 2 about the charts, and you was tapping into that, and I think that's a real. I really think the revelation to me is like this is the move, and it's always been the move. But how we was talking the other night about the controllers came in and understood because this knowledge was there. They came in, usurped it, flipped it, got you out of control to come back and control you in a whole nother way. So we was in control. Then they come get the information, get you out of control, and then when they bring you back into control, it's through their way. And I think we might have said it differently the other night, but that was the gist of it. So now you're back under control, but it's through their programming of what that is. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's really funny that this is just looked so down upon, you know. But then at the same time, it's in every newspaper. Like the horoscope is in every newspaper. You know what I mean? I know people used to say, "Well, don't look at it until you look at because I used to work at a newspaper company, and I remember somebody was like, "Well, to see if it's true, look at the paper on Thursday. Look at the paper on Wednesday, and see did it come true." Like, you know what I mean? Like they was being in a funny bag, but even still, it's still in every newspaper almost. The horoscope is in the newspaper,
Well, can I say something about that?
of course.
Here's what's funny about the newspaper. I think the newspaper was set up to belittle the science.
Mm.
See, because that's how most of us are introduced to astrology. It's through the horoscope.
Yes.
If you're Aquarius, this is going to be a great money month for you. Blah blah blah.
It is, and
So,
it is simple.
because what they're doing is sun sign astrology. The sun is just 1/10 of the planetary expression of your chart.
Mm-hmm.
You got 9 other bodies. You got one luminary and 8 other planets in your chart who are expressing. And so they put that horoscope in the paper to belittle the science and to make it look like a circus act.
Right.
So that when you are trying to astrology is it's an art and a science.
Mm-hmm.
But what they do is they present it as David Copperfield uh, sleight of hand
Mm.
to make us. And so now you can't. So if you mention that to somebody, all that's going to come to their mind is some lady that who wrote the horoscope in the newspaper.
Yep.
If you're a Scorpio, you're this. If you're a Capricorn, you're this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it belittles the shit is deep. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think that was calculated too, the way they just presented it, cause that's the way it was first presented to me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
let me look. Let me after I read the comic strip, let me
Yes.
go and read what.
It's always by the comics in a lot of newspapers too.
There you go.
It's always
There
back
you
there with the puzzles and the comic strip, and then you
there
see
you
the
go.
horoscope and Dear Abby, and you
That's right.
know,
That's right. That's
wow,
strategic
right?
association. You know what I'm saying? Proximity.
Yep. Oh, it's a game.
You know.
It's a funny game.
Yeah. What's what's your sun sign? Oh, you believe in that crap? Oh God. You know.
Right. You know what? Oh man, I wish I man, I do have Bibles, but I wish I could find that Stephen script that I be telling you about in Acts about how he was digging into astrology, and then he got word of the Christ and destroyed all his books. That story just always set with me, man. It always just made me think, and um, it's a deep joint. But this journey, and and also putting that horoscope in there made me think about how we say they got to tell the truth, but it doesn't have to be directly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you put the sun scope in there, but if you really tap in, then you'll slide over. You need to be sliding over to astrology, but we'll just give you the sun scope, giving you a partial, you know, a partial information. Mm, interesting stuff. Triple JC says, imagine if we all treated each other like our children to love, share knowledge, and build. And Sirius Biz says, this rock would be much more amazing if everyone was brought up with builders. Yeah, I think so, man. Um, yeah. And it's for whatever reason, um, you know, they don't want that. They don't want order. And it's so funny they want order out of chaos, but they want it to be under their control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's an amazing thing. It really is. It really is amazing.
I like that, Brianna.
I also think too that people got to start learning what things really mean and not how it makes them feel when they hear it. And I think people who really want to learn are not going to get blocked by. I think the people who get blocked are supposed to be blocked.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
2/3.
2/3 ain't gonna make it. Okay, that's a next story. Okay, I ain't gonna try to pronounce this. The president Atenta, what's that? What's that?
Thirds ain't gonna make it, baby.
Oh man. Serious Biz says the moon is calling me. I take grips of photography at night. Hopefully this still live and direct once that's done. Peace. Old family, forget about money. I love you. Okay, right on. All right, Serious Biz.
Peace, serious biz.
Thank you for checking in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, man. I destroyed your build.
Nah, shit, it's all good. I mean, I pretty much. I guess one other thing I would want to add in is when we're talking about blood. When we're talking about family, of course, it naturally comes back to blood,
Mm-hmm.
and so the blood is referred to as the vital body. And so, if when I hear a word, I like to kind of just do a quick dig into, well, what does that word really mean? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I love etymology so much. Like it is so revealing when we just dig a little, maybe if not just a layer deeper. So vital means life. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So but what does life really mean? And so I'm gonna share something. I don't normally hold on, I'm gonna do it this way. Let me see if I can do this. Share screen.
Mm-hmm.
Screen sharing works with one computer. Okay. I don't know what's showing. Oh, okay. Share. Is that showing up? What's
Now you gotta click on what you trying to. Once you hit share, you gotta click on the window you trying to share. There you go.
oh,
Yeah, you just had it. There you go.
okay? So let me
Oh, you on your Think Media tonight? I see you.
Sean Cannell here. Let's see. I want to share something.
While you pulling that up, I'll read what Triple JC said. He says, "I got a jewel. Family is separation. Christmas and family. It's all to fence us off from our real family. We all family."
Right. It ain't gonna show up. Let me just pull it up this way. You know what? I'm gonna do this. Stop sharing.
You know, it's
And
funny, Triple JC. Like if we, if we just broadly and generally look at humanity, um, we are family because unless there's something else and it hasn't come online yet, like somebody had to begot something to begot something to begot. You know what I'm saying? Like they say in the Bible, um, and I don't think it's in there directly, but I just heard elders say, like incest was okay in the Old Testament because we had to build society, and then God he put it in the bloodline where after a while, then it was put in the bloodline where you couldn't build through incest anymore, and then it became um uh well, I guess they say if two family members that's close to each other have a child, there's retardation or what have you. But it's funny, we all had to come from something. You know what I'm saying? And then however we spread out and things of that nature, you get your family or whatever. But if you go back to the foundation, like we have to come from each other. So technically, would that make us family? Humanity wise? And then we've been discombobulated over time. So but yeah, foundationally, I think that makes sense. Triple JC.
yeah, this thing is dragging on me.
Mm.
Close some windows. This computer's starting to well, I'm just gonna pull out the physical copy. Okay, so this is, let me see, an esoteric exploration of fire. So I got these little things on my mastersofthecosmos.com, and I want to show something. fire. As Eve, life. Okay, so what's the point? You have to get this to sit and look at it. But the thing is, the blood is called the vital body, right?
Yes.
The word vital etymologically comes back to mean life. But life means fire. The blood is associated with Mars. Mars is a fire element, or Mars is associated with the fire, with the fire element in the fire sign of Aries, which is the initial spark. So just this is backtracking and summarizing the conversation.
Okay.
We come into this world as an individuated soul, and the journey we're taking is starts out through the blood, and it is a journey of purifying that blood. The checkpoint comes midway through the opposition of that blood, which is a relationship. That relationship means that blood is relating, another word is mixing. And through the mixing of blood and the cultivation of that mixture, it then results in some type of karmic reality that comes out at the end of the cycle. And if we just look at that, that sounds philosophical, but that's really the life cycle too.
Mm-hmm.
Two individuals come together, two Aries, two Martian blood mixtures come together. They mix. That's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They form a seed,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yes.
And they cultivate it. You know what I'm saying? And it's all cyclical. I know we don't want to think of ourselves being on a hamster wheel, but that wheel is not necessarily always negative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is, what are we cultivating on that wheel? Because we always hear that analogy of the potter and the as the creator referred to as the potter
Mm-hmm.
or the patah.
Ooh.
So the potter's wheel is spinning,
Right.
and as it's spinning, the hand is on there shaping
Shaping.
shaping it, but it keeps spinning and it keeps shaping and spinning until it gets to the form that it wants to be the proper vessel. And I mean, that's just what I think that just summarizes what all the activities that's encompassed in that, to me, is the ingredients for healing family negative curses.
Mm-hmm. Yes. and hoping that when information is shared, there's some openness to it. Because I think when you bring a chart in first, we do. I was telling a neighbor, me and him was talking. I had came in and I was saying like they have built us up on the five senses so tough that you kind of have to deal with people in that way sometime. So if you bring a chart to someone and then I feel like people, even if they don't say, I feel like people have an understanding of themselves. They know what they doing. They know you got the aunt that just talk crazy. You got the uncle that like to dress nice. You got the, you know what I'm saying? So if you bring a chart in front of them, they gonna know if that chart makes sense. Cause they know they self. They sit with they self and they quiet, in their mind and so if they see that, it's like so we sometimes you have to deal with the people within the five senses. So you got to show them something. And if people see that chart and then you give them the information on, listen, this is a way that maybe you can, clean some things up in your life or whatever's going on with this individual by looking at this chart and getting some understanding of why, you know, um, yeah, you can't go back and change things you've done in your life, but now at least you got a little understanding for moving forward and helping to cleanse your bloodline. You know what I'm saying? That chart is key. Um, and it's like you said earlier, it could be positive or negative. But to bring someone to it and show them that, I think it's like it's a beautiful thing, man. And hopefully, that individual will want to, oh man, that makes sense. And, let me get that. And then they start working on themselves, which goes back into Generation X. And we're the ones in the time to help bring that forth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good thing, bro. Like I think that's a real thing. This is it. I feel like at this moment, this is it. This is what we should be doing. It makes
Mm-hmm.
it makes a lot of sense right now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we see it in culture because they use it for agriculture. Um, and like we was talking a little bit ago. So it's all around us. I just really believe everything that we're looking for is all around us, but we just don't fully understand it yet. But the
That's right.
creator he's showing us what it is around us through nature. And we're a part of that. But we've grown ourselves apart from nature so tough to where we think we the end all be all, we the greatest thing ever made, to where we don't even go back in nature and pay it. And I'm talking in general because I know there's people that do. But we got away from nature. So we don't see it. Like we don't got time to go out in your backyard and just, and marvel at what's around you. And then, okay, you marvel for a little bit, then you start paying attention. You know, oh, the trees is secular. You know what I'm saying? Cyclical, rather. You know, oh, wow. Okay, I see that. Okay, cool. Obviously, we know growing food is cyclical. So then you just start seeing it. Then now let me look in turn. Oh, wow. I, I have astrology to look at, and that's cyclical. And okay, I was born here, and oh wow. Now it starts opening up to you. And then while you're doing all of that, you're pulling away from my Lions is on Sunday at 1 p.m. You know what I'm saying? You're pulling away from, I gotta go hit McDonald's and get they got the new the McRib it's McRib season. Um, and then you start pulling away from mundane and start getting back into nature, and then you'll find yourself not even fully. Then you'll find yourself in the opposite, where you were so attached to, my Lions play at 1 p.m. Now you're like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. Let me go outside and sunbathe. Let me, I listen, me and my wife, we was talking to her stepdad, and I was telling him, I'll go out in the sun and let the sun beam on my body. It warms your body up, and then mentally I move my mind around my body to aching places and concentrate the sun in that area, be it my lower back, if my knee hurting a little bit, on the back of my neck. I control where that energy goes, bro. And I sit there for a minute and then I come back in the house and my body feels regenerated. It's a real thing. Sunbathing is a real, I have a mind like when me and my wife get our house and I'm like, yo, I want to, okay, I did this one time and this is the first time and I didn't even know nothing. It just came, I got a download to do it. When I was at the mission, I would go to the, we got this place. Well, we got this river that comes through Harrisburg called Susquehanna River, and the mission was close to there. It was a few blocks away, so I would go walk. I remember one day something told me to go down, and we had these park benches that set up off the river, and something told me to go down there. I went down there and I meditated, and where I sat, the sun was there. And don't you know, I meditated on that bench, bro. And that was the first time that I moved my mind around my body through the heat of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. While I was meditating, I called out at the time I was in my Christian bag. I called out and asked God to come into my presence. I got a little scared because there was something walking around on the leaves. This was a little fallout. There was leaves around. Now the park benches in this grass. Behind me is a sidewalk, and then there's a 3-lane road. So I'm kind of leery, but I'm like, I believe. So I did it. Let me tell you something, man. I heard something walking around me. I did it for a little while, and then I opened my eyes, and there was no one around me. Because people will walk up and down this, Harrisburg is the capital. So people will, during their lunch break, take a walk, put their walking, running shoes or whatever. You will always see men and women just I guess on their lunch break, go take a walk outside or whatever. And I came out of my meditation. I looked left and right, seeing nobody. But those leaves were sounding like they were being walked on, bro. And I never tapped back into that until like here recently, but it's always been in my memory that happened. So earlier this year, when I got back into praying and meditating, I would go walk outside and stand in the gaze of the sun and do that again. I started doing that. Now I don't go out and do it every day, but I was doing that for a couple days. And yo, you really feel enlightened from it. That sunbathing.
That's real. Wow.
Peace, Nate.
I'll tell you something else, and this is going to be super mundane.
Yeah, I don't do it a long time, Nate. Nah. And I was, and I, and not to cut your wisdom, Jamal, but I was just, he wrote something about being careful with it. Yeah, I came and did it. This might have been like 11. So somewhere it wasn't early in the morning, but it wasn't like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon either. And I wasn't out there, like I wasn't doing it for like no 30 minutes. Like I was hopping in, doing what I needed to do and hopped out. My bad, bro.
Um, my uncle introduced us to bodybuilding
Mm-hmm.
with the something that bit me with the old Arnold Schwarzenegger tapes and the Flex magazine with Sean Ray on it and Flex Wheeler and
Yeah, those dudes are so deetered. Oh my gosh, bro.
so what I remember is like Schwarzenegger used to say when you're lifting weights you have to put your mind inside of the muscle.
Mm.
I'll say so for those who don't know, for the past, I started personal training in 2003, opened my first gym in 2006. And so that was my main career from I said '03 to 2014, I guess.
Oh wow.
And so what I my thing with people was I was a stickler for technique and I passed that on to them about you can have two people who are doing the exact same move and they're getting two different things out of it. This is a shoulder press. Now I can move some weight up and down and not get any actual stimulation in my shoulders because I'm pushing with my triceps. But if I put my mind inside of my deltoid as I'm pushing, the blood follows where my mind goes. And when you hear people say getting a pump, that shit's real. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you doing a bodybuilding competition, you go backstage, they have like a few little dumbbells, they'll have some barbells, and most people you take you some bands with you. And so before you go out on stage, you pump up. And
Mm-hmm.
you'll normally eat some type of something with some sugar so you can get some glycogen in your muscles, and you go back and you pump up. Now you can take a towel and pump up. You can just put resistance on it. But what you're doing is you're putting your mind inside of the muscle and contracting it.
Mm-hmm.
When you say you go outside and you move energy around your body,
Mm-hmm.
I know the shit's real because see, everything is everything.
Mm-hmm.
All the shit is the same, is connected. When you are mentally present in whatever you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you start to learn that your mind can move your energy internally.
Yes. Can I chop in real quick, bro?
Yeah.
Nate, I meant to say sunbathing because I see like gazing is looking at the sun. I don't look at the sun. I come outside and I bathe in it. That's what I meant to say. I wrote that in my notes. I'm sorry about that. I meant to say, yeah, because staring at the sun that will mess with your eyes. But bathing, yeah, I did that bathing thing though. Okay, my bad, bro.
Yeah, so that's really it. That's I'm just saying, just the idea of moving, of being present in the moment and moving energy. Like you got an ailment somewhere, you got a pain somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and moving your mind and telling it to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Like have you like literally moving the energy to that area. Here's another thing.
They said that's what your man did. Steve Jobs. They said he mentally cured himself of cancer. That's what they say. And then
Hmm.
because he was trying to come out with the iPhone, when he got cancer a second time, they were saying he didn't have the time to put into what he didn't have the time to put into it like he did before because he was trying to get that iPhone out. But they say he mentally did that. That's what they say.
Hmm. Another thing too is touch, which I'm sure that's what Reiki. But I'm not no Reiki expert. But I started to learn if you have the intentions of healing, you can pass that to somebody, that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like touching somebody and finding out where something's tense. You know, there's so many things that I guess I discovered and I hadn't studied it. It was just intuitively. Like on your body, like
Yes.
taking your hands and probing your own body. You can find all types of knots and shit.
Right.
And those knots is what those another word for a knot is a node. And that's where energy is bundled up.
Mm.
You run your hand down the side of your thighs, and you'll find all types of little knots down your IT band. And this can be shit where stress has been
Mm-hmm.
transferred from your hip girdle all the way down through the outside of your thigh. Rub
Mm-hmm.
on the back of your calves. You can find knots in there. And those knots then can affect your knees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the problem is not always where the pain is. So I'm getting off. I don't want to get off on no tangent, but it to me it all ties in. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, one of my accounts, there was a guy, his name was Ping. He did acupuncture. And he was telling me, like, if you have a pain in your foot, is the cause is somewhere else. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So he was like, so he was like heavy into that. Um, but I think that's why it's probably good to get a Grey's Anatomy book. And I know my mom had one back in the day because I remember looking at it and I was just intrigued with the body. But it's like, yo, if I got a pain in my foot, then I could look at the Grey's Anatomy and see, like, okay, I got a pain here. What is that attached to? And then maybe follow a line to something else. You know what I mean? And then kind of, oh, okay, well, this nerve goes to here, and just do some research from, start some research from there.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. We come from and go to our heart is the sun in our bodies and our major organs, just like the planets running our heart. Yo, listen, it's funny when Jamal was talking earlier. I was like, what makes our heart beat? And I may be that may be a mundane question, but it's like,
Mm-mm.
what makes the heart beat and keep it?
Fire,
You know, wow, wow.
fire, fire, and water.
Mm.
Solar plexus.
Our
Um,
heart with the green.
up to 5 feet for everyone. Um, well, I don't know if you wanna you got anything else you want to add in?
I think this was a good build.
I think so too. I think it was a. I think it was. I think so too. Um, music. The Quran stated that our hearts at first thing our first thing to start up when the form and science confirmed also. Facts. So if I should have been dead about 10 times, then I should thank fire and water. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would simplify. We're speaking in symbolism when we say fire and water. Fire is spirit. So I mean, I think you should always be, you know, thankful for the breath. The breath is the fire, which is the spirit. So I mean, I think it's. I mean, there should always be some reverence for that. The water is the template. Fire and water. Let me. And I know this is old hat. I know all of y'all know this, but let's just do this anyway.
Yeah, let's check
Just
out.
for
Wow, I need that.
vertical axis.
Sound like my cousin Kazardacon. Vertical axis, Baraxis, Baraxis.
Vertical axis.
I'll be right back, bro.
All right. That's fire, right? Old hat. Horizontal axis. That's water, right? So, yeah, Nate. Nate said fire and water is electricity. There you go. It's electricity. I always kick it good near water and build a fire right on, yeah, in my barrel. The heart is our main brain, soul. Damn, y'all got the chat. The chat is moving tonight. Like, damn, y'all going in. The heart is our main brain and soul. Love, love, love. The highest guru of the planet Earth, Yeshua, God is love. Indeed. What biz everyone yearning on this giant ball in space, right? Facts. Appreciate it, Serious Biz. And see, our bodies have enough electricity to power the whole earth if it was harnessed to do so. Facts. I got a
Yeah.
book back there called Your Body is Electric. That's a good book to get. Your Body is Electric.
I remember seeing somewhere they was like, if you hold your thumb and your index finger really close together, you can see electricity.
Mm.
But I think you would need some some magnifying type glasses on to see it, because it would be, but yeah, I read that somewhere a long time ago. Yes, that's how they use humans as batteries in the Matrix. Indeed. Yep.
Mm. So look, while everybody over here, we'd be remiss to not plug our music.
Of course. Of course.
So we are Think Music. As you see the banner running at the bottom, that's our latest project on Bandcamp, thinkmusic.bandcamp.com. Clarity Insight. Um, we are soon going back into the studio,
Yes.
and
Oh,
we're gonna be coming back with. Have we already shared the title? Didn't we say it last week?
no. I think we played some. Well, maybe we did a couple weeks ago. So I think we played some instrumentals to the tracks. I think I played a couple instrumentals. As a
Yeah,
matter of fact, we
March.
did.
Huh?
I said I think we played maybe 2 out of the 4 instrumentals. I want to say. couple weeks ago, but we can always keep them up to date with the title.
Yeah. Well, we gotta first give a shout out to the Killer Priest podcast
Yes, sir.
for allowing us to, you know, to
Bombard them.
yeah, because we we starting to become like a shit, like a paycheck, you know, like we gonna be um they open it up, let people submit some of their tracks for the low. We take advantage of it. Gonna continue as long as they leave the door open.
Yes.
And you
We'll have
know,
something for
Killer,
y'all Monday.
what's that?
Now I was saying we'll have something for them on Monday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, you know, but we it's time to go back into the lab. We got some, you know, I think, you know, we think it's some fire, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
Um
Yes, Nate. We try to do this podcast every Friday night. It doesn't actually have a start time, but if you subscribe to the Gnosis channel, you'll get the notification that we're on. But it's usually 11:30ish, 12ish, but there's no real start time, just because, we're running this through Jamal's platform, and he has personal things he gets squared away before he comes on, so it's not a real start time. But we're trying to do this every Friday. So yes.
right.
But the name of the project, I guess we could hit them with it again, right? Because we played some tracks. So the name of the project is called Moorish Legacy. And for those that don't know how we come up with the digging the jams, man, like I said, since I heard on KP podcast, it's been airing more on my ride lately. Good to have some new music and conscious also. My son digs it too.
Yo, that's dope.
Yes,
Appreciate that.
appreciate that. And and the people probably heard this before, but just for the new ears, the way me and Jamal create music is I just make beats and I send Jamal the beats, and then he writes to what he get the feeling to. And then once we have enough music, then we come together to sequence it, and then we put the project out. It's a simple setup. It's not too much. It's not too much behind it, and we feel it works for us. I don't know. He don't know what I'm producing, and I don't know what he's writing. And he gets the beats and what motivates him to write to. He writes to, and then we put it out. So, um, you're getting Jamal's full, um, um, unadulterated mind in those tracks. It's not like I'm like, yo, bro, you should rap like this or this, or bro, this type of tracks for this. Like, nah, it's just he go in. So, yeah, bro, that's what it is.
No doubt.
And sometimes because obviously I make a lot of beats, I gotta name them something, and sometimes he keeps the beat titles, and sometimes he'll change the beat title. He'll change the title and create, his own title for the song. But that's how we do. We 50-50, man. I bring the music, he brings the pen, and then we put it out. And it works for us. It makes sense for us. It allows me to continue to tap into my creativity, and it allows him to tap into his creativity without any filler. You know what I mean? Because when I first met him, I was like, "Yo, you need me to find a chord, like put a chorus in?" He's like, "Nah, just send them." And that really allowed me to just continue to push forward in my musical journey, because I just really got back in music. I've always done music since I was young, and then I took like a 9-year break. No, not a 9-year break, like a 5-year break. And when I came back to making music, I had to get caught up with the times. I used to make beats on the ASR10 keyboard, which I have one, not the original one I worked on, but I bought another one when I moved down here. And and that's what I made beats on. And then when I wanted to get back into the music, I went to go get an MPC, but at the time they was pushing machines. So I wind up buying a machine and I make all my beats on the machine, and I've been rocking with that ever since. And now I'm just now getting to the point where I understand the machine well enough to start getting my ideas out, because sometimes we can have ideas, but we don't know how to formulate it. And, you know, but now I understand the machine, and I'm starting to be able to bend it in the way I want to get my ideas out. So, and I'm just really tapping into that. And earlier I was talking about not having a straight line. I think this is my straight line. This art. I was telling my wife, like, I feel like I'm really moving towards the art space. Like, I'm really into architecture right now. I'm really into art as far as portraits and paintings, and I'm really into art as the music. So, with that being said, I'm in 2017, I started releasing instrumentals on SoundCloud. If you go to my SoundCloud page, Dunlap Music, and you go to the first beat that I put on there to the last beat I put on there, you're gonna see what I call progression. You're gonna go, oh, okay, that was cool. Then you get to the last beat I just put on there, which is I think is last night or right now, one of them. And you'll be like, wow, like this guy has grown in 3 years of putting beats on there. And I feel like I'm just touching the surface. So um the iller I get with the production, the iller Jamal gets with his pen, is just gonna make great music for the masses. Yeah. So
No doubt. Go to link in the chat. Y'all
I
can go and check it out.
appreciate that.
Um, and hell, you know what? I don't normally plug myself, but I'm gonna do it tonight. Um, I was gonna wait, and I'm gonna wait on that. But I'll just say this.
Triple
I've
JC,
said
yes.
that. What you say?
No, I'm sorry. Triple JC said the beauty of music is the canvas is invisible. Yes. Yeah. That's why I was saying the other day on this podcast. I'm like, yo, I got so many sounds now. Like, I done bought so many expansions for a machine, and then just the sounds that's already there. Like, I feel like I'm doing this now. I'm just, oh, let me pull that over here, and I'm on my Bob Ross. I'm on my what's your man that you should just flick the paint on the canvas. I forget my man's name. But yeah, but my bad, bro.
So I'm just gonna put this link in here. Y'all can go and check this out. It's mastersofthecosmos.com, and because I try to use the music as a magnet to attract um to the other things that I do a little. I do some teaching, and so I'll leave it at that. We'll talk about that some other time.
All
But
right.
yeah, um, but I do have something new that I'm excited about. Going in a new direction. Like I said, for the past, what is this? 18 years, pretty much. Well, let's say 15 of those 18 years, I pretty much have been have been comfortable in one area of life as far as a profession. Just this whole thing of making music um, is new territory for me. You know, this started in 1996, 97. You know, people jerking us around about we're gonna put y'all in the studio. You know, and now you don't have to wait on nobody to put you in the studio. You can just go
Yep.
and call up a studio. You know,
Yep. Yep.
um, and so I have Saturn and Leo in my chart. So that means, you know, you just think about it, you know, Leo is ruled by the sun and the sun wants to shine. Saturn is restriction. So when you have those two in the same house, that means you're going to have to wait for your sun to shine the way it's supposed to. So it makes sense to be 44 years old and, you know, we're sitting here talking about making music as relatively new to doing it seriously. You know, we have backgrounds in music, but we're new to putting this type of effort into it.
Right.
And so, along with that,
That's what I was saying, JC. Let the beats free, serious.
let the beats free. Um,
Working on the music and being serious with it.
yeah. So that has given me the courage, and along with my wife, to launch another aspect of life. You know, and my wife had this talk with me today. I'm gonna tell you something. Let me just be real. As a man, when your woman tells you, "I know you can do this," and I know you have a calling for this, that's some.
Speak on
Hey, let me tell you something. Motherfucker can go and jump off a bridge. My
it.
woman said I can fly, nigga. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Um. So look, cause it's late, and what we 2 hours and 42 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Most people ain't gonna watch long enough to catch this anyway. So I'm just gonna say this to who hear it right now. I have made the 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 trek into the world of officially working as an astrologer.
Wow.
Meaning, let me just say this, and I'm not trying to take forever, but you know,
I
this
see. I
is new
see excitement
territory
in
for
you.
me, huh?
Yeah, I see the excitement in you.
The last time I had this feeling was when I decided that I was going to quit my job as a forklift mechanic. And I was like, man, fuck this. I was crawling around underneath forklifts, jacking them up, refurbishing them, fixing shit. They had pulled me back into the shop because I was out in a van, and I fucked up this fork. Hey, fireside chat here, real quick. I'm out on a job working on a forklift, and I needed to change the forks, take the whole mast off, and there was a way you had to raise them up, chain it up. Long story short, I got it up, chained up, had to go and take a dump.
Mm.
Stomach killing me. I go in there, use the bathroom, come back out. Hydraulic oil is everywhere. Them motherfucker can't crack. Cause when you got it up, and if they come down all of a sudden, all that pressure gonna come out, got to come out of the line.
Mm-hmm.
Hydraulic oil is everywhere. They didn't fire me, but they said this motherfucker cannot be out on his own working on no forklifts. They took me back into the shop, and I was working on them inside of the shop. I'm crawling up under there one day, and I'm like, man, I am tired of this shit. You know, I know I was not meant. This is not what I meant to be doing.
Right.
And so we got this institute here named Cooper Institute, okay? And that's where that you get certified to be a personal trainer. I would be listening to a tape of the lessons while I would be down there working on the forklift. I had $400 in my savings account. I quit. Took that $400. No, I had already cleaned out my savings to pay for the certification. When I passed the test, I quit. Started working for 24 Hour Fitness. I worked there till April. Keyword, April of 2004. Aries. The sun was in Aries. On the day of my aunt's birthday in 2004, I started my business, my personal training business.
Wow.
When the sun was in Aries. And I became wildly successful until it was time for it to die. In 2011, I got the first notice that it was supposed to die when they kicked me out my gym. I couldn't pay the rent because I had ego. I had gone and got this 5,000 square foot gym. I couldn't afford to pay for it. I should have stayed where I was. But I was supposed to make that move because it was time to die from that.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me 10 years to find out where I was supposed to go next. So for 10 years, I've been kind of like the children of Israel walking through the wilderness.
Ooh.
I know now what I'm supposed to be doing, my next step, because I have the same feeling that I had in 2004. So, that's what I'm doing. I'm launching into, I'm a fucking astrologer.
Wow, that's deep. Congratulations. And you have the passion for it. And you dealing in integrity. Yes.
Okay, what? I'm feeling like Yash now. Well, okay, well, I get so much stuff coming through. Let's see. How do you feel about the fact that me and my family found 2 almost dead baby rabbits that their mother abandoned, and we are nursing them back to health as I type? Okay, I'm gonna assume that you being real, and because you never know when you gotta. I'm gonna assume type something else, Caden, so we know you're not trolling. Because if you're not trolling, then my mind's already thinking something about the symbolism. When did this happen? When did y'all find these rabbits? Because if you're not trolling and you're serious, then it actually does tie in to where we at right now. We're going doom 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 doom. We're waiting on Caden. We're gonna see if Caden's a real. But either way, yeah. My bad.
No, I was just saying the new troll or the new algorithm is when you put something and you get these, like I started seeing them probably like a few months ago where it be these Asian chicks and they got like 0.30 and
Right.
well, I love your channel, and it's like, yo, what is going on? Like, this shit's wild.
flowers and heart,
Yeah, it's
XOXO.
like I'm saying to myself, what the hell is the algorithm doing? But the real people said, Nate says their mother abandoned or get swooped up by death. Shrug. Triple JC
Mm.
said, shit, human mothers do that ish. So,
Shit, human mothers do that shit.
uh, he said I got a bad habit with random sometimes too, laughing out loud. Yeah, like you don't know what's going on. You know, we on live. You might be at somebody recommending somebody just hop in and throw something wild in the pot and hop out. You know what
I can make a bullet talk.
I mean? Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's crazy. Um, but yo, congratulations on that, bro. And I know you. Okay, so he's back. I don't know
To
about
under
Nate.
his house and assumed their mother would come back. He checked back 2 days later and they were still there. So he decided to give it one more day. That night there was a raccoon.
Mm,
Well, rabbits represent fertility. And the whole Easter, that's why the rabbit is associated with Easter, because Easter, do you want these? On his porch. So the next day he was like, do you want these? So are you in the process of trying to launch something new? If you are, then that might be a sign to you that it is fruitful.
mm,
Rabbits represent fertility. That's why the rabbit's associated with Easter, because Easter comes from estrogen, and estrogen and Easter means star. So it's the regenerated star, the regenerated light. So that might be a sign. That might be a sign of some prosperity.
mm. Dig into what you have going on, Caden.
The way you said it, what do you have going on, Caden?
Oh wow. The
Yeah.
Easter bunny had to work. Like rabbits laughing out loud fertility. Yeah. Yeah, that was the old saying. And he got in that thing like a jackrabbit. Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, congratulations on becoming an astrologer. Um, I have the privilege to be um a good friend, and I'll be buzzing your ear with some things, and yeah, man, I'm excited to see where you go with it. And just because I feel like I know you um pretty well. I know you're gonna deal in integrity and really want to help the people, and not, you ain't on your fleecing, and you know what I'm
Right.
saying, and trying to just get, trying to get $1 out of somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Right.
real up and up um person, a man, and you're for helping the people. Because I mean, just in talking to you and seeing what you're doing with your children and seeing the benefit from it in that way, it's like, yo, this could help humanity if they willing to buy in. And like I said, because we're taught five senses. Okay, well, let me give you this chart and show you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
we can talk in the air and it's like, oh well, show, prove it. We on that prove it. So okay, cool. Well, here's a chart now. Now you be honest with yourself with what you see,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 you don't gotta come out and say, oh yeah, internally it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now build off that. So congratulations once again, good brother.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for the kind words. Um, I it's it's definitely not a hustle. Although this time around, I'm going to Cut them back loose.
Yeah, got good now. Yeah, that's funny. Serious,
Hey,
man.
I think it was very random. It's very random, and only you can get the reasons for the season and force to the act. Right. Yep. Yep. Probably something you just got to figure out, good brother. You know, or sister. I don't know. I don't know if Caden's a woman or a man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, one thing, man, what burnt me out with training is I started working with people who robbed me of the opportunity to see somebody transform
Mm.
because they were just wanting to pay to have just to, somebody to have give them some attention. And sometimes people can use their money when you put yourself in a situation where you need money and everybody's money, then you have to deal with people you don't want to deal with.
Right.
And by me making that move to get into this bigger spot, I had to entertain people that I normally was like, man, just take your money and go on somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But now I got it, and it made me bitter, you know, and I started hating what I did. So I learned a lot from those experiences. You know, that's why I'm so adamant about independence. You know, uh, we'll build our tribe organically.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? We ain't coming to let nobody come rape us for our art. You
Mm-mm.
know, on the music tip. Um, and with this venture, it's you know I would like to think I move in integrity. You know, man, I really do enjoy. I enjoy being around people, man, who at their best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because for my own selfish reasons. Because if the people I'm around are at their best, I can benefit. I can learn something, and if nothing else, I can just benefit from the energy.
Yes. Good energy.
I
Yep.
don't want to be around no bad energy.
Mm-mm.
I don't want to be around no fucking losers. I don't want to be around people who are not looking to transform.
Yep.
And so, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It's a
not to
beautiful
turn
thing.
that into this, but you know,
It's a beautiful thing.
it's a beautiful thing, man. You know? But y'all look forward. We about to come. We will be back next week,
Mm-hmm.
and we're coming with some more music.
Yes, next month we'll hit the studio. Well, he'll hit the studio because we live in two different places. But he'll hit the studio next month. We'll get Moore's Legacy going. We'll figure out the album art, and we'll be giving it to you guys possibly next month. We're sitting on a lot of music, um, and we want to ramp up getting into the studio to get this music out. Jamal Penn is on fire. I feel really good. I'm in a good space with the beats. Um, and I feel like now um, that the art we're bringing forth, um, it listen, this isn't microwave music.
Oh, can look can I cut you real quick?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that if a beat that the way the beat is crafted is the way it is intended to be crafted?
Yes. I don't sit down with an idea. When I'm chopping records or I'm creating an organic beat, when I sit down, as soon as I drop the needle on something and I hear it, that's it. I sit down, I chop it up. I might loop something. I might chop some stuff, play a loop behind it. But that's how I go. The beat is pure thought. And once I send it to Jamal, he hears it and then he comes with pure thought. He's told you before. He hear these beats while he's listening, while he's driving, and the thought coming, he has to find somewhere to pull over. That's how I am with these beats. When I made that beat I played last week, I was at work cleaning. And this is why and we had a guy on here last week that was talking about procrastination. I heard 4 songs listening to this playlist. And I stopped and took a note, took notes. And I came home and made that beat. If I wouldn't have made that beat when I came home that night, that beat wouldn't have been what it is. So when I sit down, I tap right in, and I hope that answered your question. But that's my process in creating these tracks.
What is minimalism?
Melodic minimalism is space.
But Dap, why don't you add some other elements?
Because it is what it is. You're welcome. Like,
you're welcome.
When you're working, you know when it's done. See, some people say I would have added this to it, I would have added that to it. But that's how I felt as my individual self. Somebody else can hear it and hear some other things. But my individual self was it. Now let me bring it out. That's why that's why I'm glad we did this podcast, because I think in art, we don't have people. You got some people that's like, I'm just going to let people get what they get from the art. Like, you'll hear screenwriters not want to break down a movie. You'll hear directors not want to break things down. They just want the public to get what they get from it and leave it at that. I'm more or less like, let me explain to you what I do. So you can, like, if you want to judge me on what I say it's something supposed to be. Like, if me and Jamal put a project out and we say this is what this project is meant to be. When you listen to the project, yes, you're going to have your opinion of it, of course. But at the same time, when you're going to be a critic of it, criticize me on, did we come to plan with what we said it was? You know what I'm saying? Criticize me on that. Like, they said it was supposed to be this. I didn't really get that, this and that. Instead of just saying, oh, this sounds like 90s boom bap. You know what I mean? I wish he had some triple hi-hats in his beats. Like, you got that already. Like, you can go get that. And that's the beautiful thing about art is subjective, because everything you want is there. We always want somebody to bend to what's already going on. Yeah, Iberian Oracles is a classic. And what you're looking for is already out there. Just go gravitate to that. Like, we're trying to do a new thing. We're trying to do something different. So allow us that process to do that. And then over time, if you want to, because we know people are going to try to box us in and all of that. Like, we know what comes with the territory. So that's fine. We're not tripping over that. But allow us through our podcast to talk to you and say, look, this is what we're trying to bring forth musically. We already telling you we do it organically. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just make beats and send them to Jamal. He hears them, he gets motivated, he writes. That's our story. Like, that's how we rock. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, when we get a collections of music, when we get a collection of songs, then we talk about what order they should go in. Like, we talk about the sequence of the project, and then we put it out. But here with this podcast, we get to explain a little more what our process is, what goes into it. Then when you listen to it, you got a little background to say, okay, this is what they said that, this particular project is supposed to be, and it lived up to that, or it didn't live up to that. You know what I'm saying? Or these guys create organically, like, Dap just makes beats and send them to Jamal. He writes and they put it out. Like, wow, who does that? Like, there's no, you know what I'm saying? But we feel like that keeps us in the best place of being artistic, bro. Like, go ahead, my bad.
And can I just say this? And it's a form of respect. It's a form of respect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to stand. I stay in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
I know my job. I do that. I stay in my lane.
Yes.
And I respect Dap's craft. And he respects mine. That's all right. My bad. I just had to throw that in when you made that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real thing, bro. Like, listen, man, I grew up into the lyricists of hip hop. When me and Jamal met and we were talking on the phone, and he told me he had music on SoundCloud. I went to a SoundCloud and listened to his tracks. When I heard him, I said, "Oh," because me and my producers friends used to be like, "Yo, we can find somebody to rhyme on our beats," and because I started off just putting instrumental albums out. So when I listen to his music, I'm like, "Oh, he has a pen." I got excited. I said, "Oh, he has a pen," and then I came to him. And and then how he found out I did music was he clicked on my name to see was I a real person, and then he seen I had a link to my SoundCloud and a link to my Bandcamp, and he went on there and listened to some tracks, and then he'll tell you at first he was like he didn't know, and then he challenged himself, and this is why you got what you have. We didn't give in. He didn't give in. He could have been like, that's cool. I like a couple of them, but I ain't gonna write to none of that. And then he started, but he took the challenge. He took the challenge for itself. They'll say, let me try. He wrote a couple. And then, now we're going on 3 years in. And now he's saying that his pen is at a totally different place. And that's him. Like, that ain't me. That's him challenging himself. You know what I mean? I challenge myself because I grew up listening to jazz music. I want my music to touch the people like how a Jean-Luc Ponty watching birds touch me, a John Coltrane Naima touch me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my music to do that. That's what those guys imparted in me. So now I'm making instrumental music. And yeah, I could give you some EPMD, a loop with a DJ scratch for the chorus, but you don't want to listen to an instrumental of that for 3 minutes. So I started making beats. It was like, okay, if I'm gonna make instrumental albums, I gotta have a couple different transitions. I gotta have at least 3 or 4 transitions. I gotta, put little sprinkles and things in there so you could listen to a track for 2 minutes. That's why our tracks be like 2 minutes. Unless I do an opus, and that could be whatever. You know what I'm saying? But a single track is gonna be between 2:20. I might get to the 3-minute mark if I'm feeling what I got and I just want to circle it around a few times. But that's why a lot of our songs be like 2 minutes and 30, 40 seconds. It's like, yo, we don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want to give it to you and pause. I just want to give it to you, pause, and get out. Right? So when Jamal comes along, he's just like, we call them joints layups now. When I send him something for 2:30 and he okay. Because this man then wrote to a 20-minute opus. This man then wrote to a 12-minute opus, an 8-minute opus.
And we got to explain what an opus is.
An opus is when I sit down and I do these beats in one night. Okay. I come home, I gather, it depends. But I gather samples, I chop them up, and I make these long beats. It's just one long beat. Well, not one long, the beat switches up, but It might be 4 different tracks. It might be 8 different tracks. It might be 9. It just depends on what I chop up that night. And I got the opus concept from classical music. Because you listen to a classical song, that joint might be, it depended. That joint could be 6-7 minutes. So I got it from that, and then I start sending them to Jamal. And he's like, yo, what's this? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, this is an opus. He's like, what is an opus? I explained it to him. He like, okay. And, he kind of, he listened to him, and he was like, and then one day he was like, yo, I'm going to write the Dubai Sunset. I said, word? He's like, yes. I made a particular beat that he loved that reminded him of
Organized Noise.
Yeah, reminded him of Organized Noise. The 4th track on Dubai Sunset. And he that triggered him. And he was like, bro, am I right? I said, word? He said, yeah. And he wrote to it. Then, and then he wrote to that. He wrote to another one. Then I sent them Transformative Moments. And he texted me the next day. Because I sent Jamal, sometimes I don't even email. Sometimes I don't even text him. He'll wake up, check his email, and be like, Christmas. Or I might text him like, check your email. All I do is say, check your email, fam. He know that's the music. Check your email, fam. And then I might send him 4 or 5 joints in the night. He like, Christmas. Christmas. So I send him Transformative Moments. So he don't know. I just check your he don't know how long this joint is, right? He hits me the next day. 20-minute joint, huh? 20. I said, bro, I was inspired. And I make them in one night. So I get off, and usually my Thursday night is my Friday night. Because for those who don't know, I have a cleaning business. And I don't have to go clean Friday night. So I stay up Thursday and make beats. And so I get home Thursday. I found this. I made Transformative Moments off this record that was 34 minutes. And I chopped it up. I listened to the whole joint and chopped it up and made this Transformative Moments. And I sent it to Jamal, and he was like, bruh, I got to write to this. And he wrote to it. And he wrote the 2 other opuses. And as we told y'all before, we're going to put that out we got something for y'all with that. But when we dropped that, we felt like it's a game changer, not just in hip hop, but in music, period. Because with Jamal's pen and with the way where I pull my samples from, is and organics. Because I don't just sample, I add organics on top of the samples too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro. He wrote to a 20-minute joint. 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a fucking turn paper. That's a lot of writing.
Lupe Fiasco has a song called Mural. That's how long is that song? 8 minutes? I think that's
somewhere around there.
Yeah. That's about, from my memory, I think that's the longest song I've seen. On this project we got a 12-minute song, an 8-minute song, and a 20-minute song. It's only 3 songs. The name of the album is Transformative Moments.
And it's a journey.
And when we drop that, put your earbuds on, get your tea ready, get your coffee ready, and have some time. And it's going to blow you away.
It's an experience.
Triple JC said 20 minutes, man. That's music, bro.
Yes, sir.
Listen, what we're trying to do, and not even what we're trying to do, what we're doing is tapping into our art, our artistry, and trying to bring forth the best art we can bring forth, bro. And getting out of the box of it has to be a 16, a 8-bar chorus, a 16, an 8-bar chorus. It doesn't have to be that. You know what I'm saying? Art is subjective, bro. It could be what we want it to be. You just as the individual will have to want to tap in, because when you've been programmed to 16 cores, 16 cores, 16 cores, and then we come drop this neutron bomb on you, you got to really dig in. And these beats, man, listen, these beats are beats like these beats are different. And this ain't no toot your own horn and all of that, because I'm more or less, I just make the beats. And whatever you get from it, you get from it. I'm not too upset if you don't like them, because I know everybody don't like everything. So, but the beats on these on this Transformative Moment project, and what it is they all made at different times. Like, these isn't beats that I made. Oh, I made these 4 beats today. Like, no. Transformative Moments is from maybe 3 months ago now. Echoes in the Chambers from probably middle of 2020. Mathenian Maze is somewhere in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what you're getting is also with the music, because we're pulling production from different times. You're getting me at different times with my production. If you pull something off SoundCloud, that's 3 years old. I'm not even in that place no more in 2021 making beats. So you're getting me at different points, and then we're fashioning it together to give you a project. Jamal's pen is different from where it was 3 years ago to where he is now.
My life is different.
Life different.
My perception of the world and the universe is different.
Yes, constant elevation, constant moving. So that's what we bring to the table. We don't want to come to the table with the tried and true way of producing art, because you don't have to do that. So if y'all gonna ride, if y'all want to ride with us, man, go to Think Muzic Bandcamp, follow us on there, man. Check the tracks out that's already on there, and just listen to our progression, bro. It's progression. Life is progression in itself. Me and Jamal, we're not stagnant. I always say we trying to work on ourselves, and Jamal was tapping into his wife earlier. Pause. But but my wife is the same way, bro. You know what I mean? My wife called me on my stuff, and I gotta look at it. If I get up funny, my wife like, "Oh, you being funny today?" I gotta tap. She tapped right in. I gotta tap in. Oh man, yeah, I've been a little funny. Hop out of that. Get back to tickling each other. Pause. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know what I mean? So listen, bro. What we're attempting to do is bring y'all the best version of ourselves through our art. You know what I'm saying?
And we're dispelling the myth that hip hop is a young man's game.
Right.
Because we're showing that although the beat, the producer is silent vocally, the producer is able to speak through the beat.
Yes.
The reason a person says, "Oh, I would have done this and I would have done that," that's youth. And a lot of times. And when you're younger, you overdo shit.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get older, you learn when to hold them, when to fold them.
Right.
When to get off the throttle.
Yes.
And I want to say something else. I don't rap like nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I am a writer. I write for a living.
Right.
So if somebody want to say I sound like somebody, you know how we separate the wheat from the tare? My pen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I sound nasally like somebody else, that's the way I sound. I got a big wide nose. I'm from the South. I got a slight Southern drawl when I talk. That's just geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with the territory. But the things that I rap about, it's very few. It's very few people who are going to explain the relationship between Saturn and Uranus and Mars in a verse and the shit's coherent.
Right.
And I'm not trying to, I don't know, when you hear mood ring, and I'm gonna tell the mythological story of Saturn and Uranus and Jupiter and put Mars in there. You can't say that that's bitten off of nobody.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's authentic.
Right.
And when you hear the minimalistic beat and you hear that somber bass line and that mood, and you hear the way my inflection, see, the beat, if you allow the beat to speak, it changes your inflection. Julius and Malone is going to be more authoritative. Cockatoo more authoritative. Those horns are saying, wake up. That's Gabriel playing the horn. You got to speak to match it. But with that fucking mood ring, the inflection in your voice has to change to it.
Yes.
Music got a spirit in it.
Mm-hmm. Let's
You
tap
looking
into
like
it.
you about to cue something up.
Let's tap into it. You ready?
Yeah. Listen to that piano.
Listen to how that bass line switch up.
Look at him, man. We got to get in. I got to go to the studio. I got to go to the studio. It might have to be next week. I, I'm tired of talking about it.
No doubt.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm just ready to come on and like, all right, here it is.
Yes. Thanks, Triple JC. Appreciate that, good brother.
No doubt. And yes, sir. And Serious Biz. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. So yeah. Yeah, we getting ready to wrap this thing up. I can go and Go over to our Bandcamp, thinkmusic.bandcamp.com, you know, and we know how this thing go. You know, it's a relationship. We in the process of relationship building. So we ain't pushing you about going over and purchasing any tracks. We'd love it if you did, but if you feeling where this is going, if you feel like this feels like home, or a place that you can domicile, then just go over and follow us on Bandcamp. That following over there, what it does is create energy. So even if you don't do the exchange of energy through exchanging your currency, just the following over there is, hey, the cosign is worth something, you
Yes,
know.
indeed.
So cosign us by just going over there and following, you know.
Yes,
And then what
indeed.
that does is you help us to build a magnet to attract other people like you. So who are you? You on here listening to us at 3 in the morning if you're on Central Standard Time, 4 in the morning on the East Coast. 2 in the Mountain Standard. 1 on the West Coast. Wherever you at, it's late night, and you on here rocking, and we ain't talking about no bullshit. So obviously you must be a part of the intelligentsia.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So we talking to you, you know, and you're part of the tribe. So, uh, oh hell,
Triple
Triple
J.
C said you
Yeah.
in Melbourne?
Wow.
Oh hell, we down under.
Wow. That's dope. And thank you for the compliments, everyone. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank y'all, thank you. So yeah, man, just follow us over there. Follow us in. You
Yeah.
know,
And we also have a Think Music YouTube page.
yes,
We only have 5 subscribers over there.
and that's
But
really where we're trying to move everything over there.
yeah, we want to do the podcast from our YouTube channel on the Think Music YouTube channel. And we also have the music over there too. Um as we release the tracks uh on Gnosis channel, and then we also release some on our Think Music channel. So we're trying to grow that, and then hopefully move the podcast over to there, and try to build up our music channel. And you can also check us out on the streaming services. Think Music on the streaming services. We got a few tracks. We don't have everything that's on our Bandcamp on the streaming services, like our earlier projects, like Beats Need Bars and The Prep. But the later stuff is on the streaming services. We'll get that other stuff up, but we've been kind of thinking about going back in, since we found an engineer we like, maybe redoing some music we put out earlier, doing some remastering, and then re-releasing that stuff. So stay in tune for that. But yeah, man. Um, yeah, please check us out. Um,
Yeah,
we-
I gotta get the thing where we got just think music on the back of that. That's
yeah,
shit
yeah,
looking real serial numberish.
right. But yeah, man, I thank y'all for tuning in, man, and building with us, and enjoying the music and enjoying the podcast. And like he said, we trying to give y'all information from, you can see his library behind him, so you know what he dealing with. I got a, I got, I got a decent little. It's not that huge, but I got a decent library that's growing, and we're reading, and we innately read. We innately want to know. So, you know, and he turned me on to using your book as like a real library. Like, I haven't read everything into my library, but I got enough different subjects where I can go, let me tap into this, and or let me tap into that. So, peace, brother Williams. So yeah, man, thanks for tuning in and checking the music out and following us on the different platforms and and best believe, man, we got music in the tank. So we coming. Moorish Legacy next month, and then we're trying to decide on, he has a bunch of singles that he's written. So um you know that may come after the Moorish Legacy EP, and then we got the debut album. Um but we just really trying to build everything up before we drop this debut album, because we feel like the debut album, when we drop that, is only up from there. You know, they say you've been working on your first album all your life. When we drop this joint, it's only up from there. And it's gonna give you a window into what we're trying to bring forth. So we may be looking at summer for that, for the debut album. And the debut album to me is going to I don't even think people going to get it for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. Because it's going to be music you have to sit with. And we and I'm not saying everyone, but the programming in the world is microwave. Like when you look at the track list and when you look at the track list and you see the length of the songs, like you ain't never sat down and listened to a 20-minute song. I got a jazz album. I listened to a jazz album that long. I got a jazz album where one whole side is half is almost the whole song, and then they finish on the second side. One whole side is the song. It's a Freddie Hubbard record, and then they finish on side B, and then get into the rest of the material. So if you have the disposition to sit down and listen to a 12-minute track, an 8-minute track, and a 20-minute track of information, and not just I got the Rari, I got the money phone, I'm nailing joints crazy. Bruh, when you sit down and listen to this, and you already know where Gnosis pen at. When you sit down and listen to this transformative moment, it should do something to you. It should do something.
It should be transformative.
Yep. So with that, man, what you got?
I'm good, man.
All right.
I think it was a great show.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah. Peace to Serious Biz, my wife Brianna.
Peace.
Triple JC. Thanks for tuning in.
Brother Williams.
Nate. Excuse me. Caden.
Okay. Okay, come in with the randoms.
Who else we had tapping? Serious Biz.
Serious Biz.
It was
that's everybody.
It was a foreign name at the. Okay, all right. Maybe Nate's a name I had never seen before, but I thought it was another name. But
Naga Trickery.
Yeah. The comments didn't even go all the way back up to the beginning for me, but yeah. So yeah, man, thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. And y'all keep us going. I love what y'all do in the chat too, because it helps build the podcast also. You guys chiming in the chat. We can read what y'all doing, and it offers even more light and broadens the conversation even more. So we love the comments in the comment section. Yes?
All right, Dot.
I had to slide that one in on you. Oh, and Freddie Cali.
Yeah, Freddie Cali.
Yeah. So peace.
Yeah.
Thanks for being the returning listener, Nate. Next Friday, bro. Like I said, subscribe to his channel so you'll get the notification. But yeah, man, we try to bring something. We try not to. This, like he said before, the podcast is Think Muzic, man. That's our group name, and we just want you to think. Like, we're not trying to, I hate using this term because everybody go there. Like, we're not trying to preach to you and all of that stuff. Like, it's not even about that. It's just like, yo, here's a thought and here's some music behind it. It's simple, man. It's simple. Just like how we perform. Like, I make the beats, I send it, he write. It's simple. Like, it's not supreme math. It's simple. And sometimes the simple thing is sometimes the simple thing is honestly the most creative intellectual thing. You're like, yo, that was I thought it would be more than that. Like, nah. Nope. This is it. So he said don't let the randoms throw y'all off. Nah. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks once again. We'll see y'all on the top side. All hearts and mind are clear. Peace.
Peace. See y'all next week.